Destiny has reacted to the death of a Trump supporter in the crowd of the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, where Trump was almost shot, with a lot of humor and specifically like laughing and giggling at the demise of the Trump supporter in the crowd. So there was a guy called Corey who was in the crowd, and he tried to protect his family once the bullet started, once the assassin tried to kill Trump. And Trump, he got clipped in the ear, and Trump has talked about how like the bullet was guided by God, and a lot of other people have talked about how God protected Trump. But apparently, very sad for the family, God then guided that bullet into his body, and it killed him. So very fortunate for Trump, very unfortunate for this guy. Very sad. And so some people have started digging through his old comments, and they have found that he said some pretty reprehensible stuff. Now, my position is, despite any terrible personal politics this guy might have had, I know people who are interpersonally can be very nice or loving or bring value to families, but also very terrible, terrible politics. I know people all across the country and family members of mine that are like that, and you kind of live with it. You take from them what you value: companionship, familial love, what they give to their family, and you kind of just learn to look past it. And I think that for a lot of people in families all across the country, they know people that are in a similar situation. So even if this guy has very reprehensible politics, I can still appreciate that his death was terrible, that his family's faced a tragedy. But Destiny is joking about it because his politics are reprehensible. And Destiny has said multiple times that he's not going to respect the consequences of the tensions and the rhetoric of politics getting ratcheted up around this election by Donald Trump. And now those consequences are being felt on his movement. That's how Destiny talks about it. That he's not going to temper his rhetoric now because of that. That he's going to give the Republicans what they've been giving liberals for the longest time, because tempering rhetoric has not worked for Joe Biden. That at least is the Destiny pitch broadly, and part of the reason why he feels like he can make fun of this guy who died at the rally. Now, if you want to go through some of these posts, as you can see now here, he's smoking the cigar, celebrating the demise of the guy. Here is the post that he's doing it in reaction to. This is from the guy who was shot. Americans had enough of Mike Pence on January 6, 2021. So this is a guy saying that on January 6, when Mike Pence was asked by Donald Trump to ignore the official results of the presidential election, to ignore that, and then after ignoring those results, take the alternate slate of electors that Trump's team has made, a fake slate of electors, and say, oh my gosh, we don't know which one's the real slate of electors. Let's send it back to the states, which are majority controlled by Republicans, so that Trump can stay president, because then the Republican-controlled houses, would, according to Trump's plan, side with them, hopefully. At least that was the idea. Mike Pence, seeing that was past his constitutional authority, did not do that. This is the guy who got shot, Corey, supporting that anti-democratic coup against Mike Pence's constitutional authority of the electoral system. That is what he's supporting here. That's awful. That's bad. And that is at the center of why why Destiny is mocking him. But this isn't the only bad belief that he has. Here's another one. Send the illegal immigrants to Ukraine and let them fight for freedom. Let's see how bad they really want it. Here's another one. Over 1 million people fled their homes in Gaza, with many following Israeli warnings to evacuate to the south. And his response is, they'll get over it. The Japanese did. So I would say that these are very disgusting views, and they're publicly available, but we're also interacting with the account of a dead man, a man who was a father, took care of his family, provided support for them, and tried to protect them on the day of the attack. And so I can still respect the tragedy of it, while also saying that this guy, his politics were terrible, awful, and I don't think that his considerations for where the country should go should guide our considerations, because I think his judgment is fundamentally flawed. Destiny, though, would want to go further than me and provoke the wrath of many and openly mock him in multiple conversations. And it got so big and so divisive these conversations, that it ended up with him suspended on Twitter, with Elon Musk directly debating Destiny over his suspension. 1v10 debates, all originally stemming from this call that Destiny had on Wick's channel. Let's see if I can find it. I am Wick Destiny. Let's see if I can find the original call. Where is it? There it is. Let's watch this talk, and then we'll move on to one of the next talks. We'll watch a little bit of it, and then we'll watch his debate with Elon. I don't know how much we'll get through tonight. Maybe one, and then we'll finish the other one tomorrow. But let's start where it all started. Wick versus Destiny. Attempted Trump assassination.
This is the problem.
Okay, I don't need the preview. Just give me to the conversation. Shh, Wick. Shh, I don't need your preview.
Hello?
Oh, there we are. We have an audible connection now. Can you hear me?
Oh, my shit's working. What's up?
Yeah. So, you made a tweet, and I'm feeling certain kind of way about it. Okay. I don't. Yeah, you can call me soy all you like, right? But just because the other side, like Trump, jokes about Pelosi's husband getting hammered by a guy with a hammer and things, just because that side engages in that kind of behavior and that kind of rhetoric and that kind of ha ha ha, we can joke about the bad things that happen to them, I don't think that makes it okay for us to turn around and do the same. And in fact, I think that's one of the reasons we are at this point that we are in this country.
No, I reject that. No, we need to, that needs to stop. The whole idea that, like, well, the reason why we're here is because liberals and the left just haven't cucked out enough. The reason why we're here, the reason why we don't have our Supreme Court justice, the reason why Trump has to get criminal immunity to survive his court case is because the left just isn't kind enough. Nah, I'm over it. I'm super over it. My only regret is that the guy didn't spend more time. Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. That is not what I'm saying. Hold on. You're saying we're here right now.
Man, this got off immediately. It was confrontational. Immediately confrontational. There wasn't even like the appearance of like a tranquil conversation just a minute in. Okay. At least I know what I'm in for now.
Because the left is like turning the temperature too much. No, we're here right now because Trump is fucking insane, because he has support from 90% of the conservatives in the Republican Party who are entirely un-American. Fuck them. Whatever happens, happens. I don't give a fuck. At this point, my only regret is that the guy didn't spend enough time practicing first. It is insane how much conservatives get to set the fucking standard on all the conversation in this country. It's absolutely insane. We're supposed to jump up and feel sad that the guy who is one of the most divisive presidents in all of history.
Okay, so let me throw a few things out there. Okay, one thing I will throw out there immediately is I do think that there are people that we win over by not being Donald Trump. There are people who are not Trump voters that will always vote against Trump because they are not Donald Trump. And a lot of those reasons is because of the way Trump has a toxic, acidic effect on our conversations. And so if we start conversing in the same way Trump does, and we start attacking in the same way Trump does, number one, I think we could also lose those people. But not only could we lose those people, but I think it would be also extremely toxic for our politics, because it would just make the situation worse. If one Donald Trump is so acidic to our politics, two Donald Trumps going back at each other would be even more acidic to our politics. That doesn't mean you don't be aggressive at all. I thought Biden, you have the morals of an alley cat, and getting in the mud and hitting Trump where it hurts, because he has a lot of weak spots that if Trump really sat there and dug in, and Trump is a known liar, the one thing Trump lost on versus Biden at the debates is that he didn't seem truthful. Biden polled as more truthful during the debate than Trump did. And it was the only metric where Biden performed better than Trump. So if you got somebody who's a known liar getting hit in his weak spots hard, it doesn't need to be overly complicated. It can just be like a few lines about him cheating on his wife with a porn star while she was pregnant, about the money that his children have made off of his businesses, made off of him being president, about him calling for the suspension of the U.S. Constitution. A Republican calling for the suspension of the U.S. Constitution because he can't take a loss? That's malarkey, man. That's all he needs. That type of aggressive attacking of Donald Trump when he's such a weak candidate that's not universally, but largely hated by the majority of the American public, yes, I do think that type of campaigning, Joe Biden should engage in more. I mean, like, he's weak on his age, he's weak on a lot of areas, but Donald Trump is also immensely weak as a candidate, and you've got to go after those weaknesses, because Donald Trump is not going to let go of any of Joe Biden's weaknesses. And you cannot de-emphasize the importance of this election if you want to win, and you cannot de-emphasize the importance of this election if you want to be honest to voters about Donald Trump's authoritarian tendencies. So it's a balancing act of not calling for actionable violent action, which I don't think should be too difficult for most Democratic leaders, while also properly setting the stakes for what Donald Trump wants to do to the federal bureaucracy with firing our nonpartisan bureaucrats and replacing them with loyalists to try to take control of the institutions. And this is openly laid out in 2025. It's not hyperbolic if it's the truth. So as long as Democrats are sticking to the truth about what's in 2025, about what Donald Trump said around the result of the election last time, about his criminal cases, then I think that it's fine. And attacking him over the truth is not only okay, I think it's the right thing to do. And it might make Donald Trump hated by a lot of people, but that's also because a lot of the things he does is detestable. As for the idea that I wish he didn't practice more, Trump getting killed could have much worse blowback effects, not only for violence here in the United States, but for Republican performance down the line, down ballot, at the top of the line. And if he gets replaced by somebody like J.D. Vance, for example, J.D. Vance has very authoritarian tendencies. He said he was willing to overturn the results of the presidential election for Trump the way Mike Pence wouldn't. And if J.D. Vance is the Republican nominee, then you've lost a lot of Trump's disadvantages. You've got a wild card running for presidency who's also shown authoritarian tendencies, and now has the boon of the person he was running as the VP of being assassinated, like that boost. Of course, you cannot predict the exact outcomes of it, but I think that even though Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy, I think he's a real threat.
Rosettum 287 has donated $5. Suspend the Constitution to let Dylan run.
Thank you for the $5. Even though I think that assassinating political opponents can be an even bigger threat to American democracy, more acidic for American politics. The normalization of political assassination is not something you want in the United States.
Got shot at? Fucking give me a break. Please give me a fucking break.
Okay, one person is dead who isn't Trump, right, who got shot out. Someone in the crowd that was just going to a rally who got fucking murked by this guy. And two others are in critical condition. I think it's okay to show a little empathy, don't you?
You're right. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't know somebody else died. What state was this in?
Pennsylvania. My state.
Swing state voter. Fuck you. Sorry, what?
What?
Okay. This is the problem. Right? It's not the only problem we have, but it's absolutely
that just stole my soul.
Problem when we think it's okay.
Swing state voter? Yeah. People gotta stop asking Destiny if you're ever gonna run for office. People gotta stop asking Destiny if he's ever gonna run for office. They gotta stop. He will always be in the shadows or not in the room at all. God, man. Yeah, no. He will engage with politics conversationally. He'll canvass some people, but he's closing these doors, and he knows he's closing those doors.
To joke about people getting fucking killed because they are political opponents, right? And it's a swing state voter. That's bullshit. And this idea that we see the other side as this enemy that cannot be redeemed, that it's okay to joke about violence with, it's okay to make these asinine statements, is one of the reasons that someone thought it was okay to take a shot at a contender for the presidency of the United States. We have opened up this Pandora box. We are lighting a fire that we will not be able to control. And it won't be just...
like if Trump gets killed, like there's going to be so many schizos that are like, oh my God, just the revenge killings, the stuff that terrifies me. The revenge killings, the acidic effect on American politics. There's so many negatives to like, there's negatives to Trump surviving, and there's negatives to Trump getting killed. Both of these like make it so like an attempt in any way is a bad outcome for the United States in the majority of scenarios I'm laying out in my head. just the effects it's going to have on American political culture. Martyrization is that a word, of Donald Trump would be terrible for American politics. I just, the idea of Donald Trump getting beaten by an 82-year-old man twice in a row after never winning the popular vote, I think that would have much more demonstrably negative results for the MAGA movement long term than Donald Trump being martyred while running for president when it comes to this movement beyond his lifespan. Which is something you also need to think about, since he is an older man, and I mean, he can't be president forever. It's his second term. And there's also like a family legacy that he might leave behind, because I mean, Eric and Don Jr. might very well run for office one day.
That's the people. The people who get burned won't just be the ones that we think deserve it.
Like, think about how the Kennedy assassination affected the Kennedy family and its political legacy.
Gonna burn a whole lot of others. We're starting an inferno.
It's already burnt, dog. It's already burning. What are you talking about?
That doesn't mean we throw wood on the fire and help it.
You're standing in a house on fire, and you're like, well, hold on, guys. Like, it might get pretty hot in here if you actually turn the temperature up just a little bit. Listen, in the United States of America, no one citizen is greater than any other citizen. Donald Trump wanted absolute criminal immunity. I think this guy should get at least presumptive immunity until we've looked into a little bit, why it is he shot at him. Oh, shit, he's dead now, so I guess we can't. Or no, wait, who died? It was a voter instead. It wasn't the actual shooter. Who knows? Maybe the guy thought he was acting in his official capacity as like some servant to the United States or something,
Look, here's the deal. We don't know what the motivation.
I don't know how seriously he's even treating this. It's just like meme after meme after meme.
Of the shooter was. I can't speculate on it. It could be someone on the left. It could be someone on the right, like a Fuentes type who thought Trump didn't go far enough, right? And that was betraying them. It could be a Hamas guy who's like, oh, look at Trump. He wants to help Israel too much. We don't know, and we could just speculate. But what I will say, right, is yes, just because you're correct, whether there's fire burning right now, but that doesn't give us leave to throw more wood on it. What we should be instead is trying to tamp down, to turn the temperature down. And I understand that the other side is going to be assholes about this, who are going to make all these jokes, and that's okay. That's why they lost in 2020, because they went too extreme, right? And that's why they're going to continue to lose in the future.
I mean, I don't think the jokes is why they lost. I think that Trump's rhetoric is a negative aspect for a lot of voters, and that had an impact on the election, but is one aspect. Like, Trump can have a potty mouth, a really, really bad, divisive potty mouth, and still win if other factors line up enough. I think it's just like one thing that could be a disadvantage for certain voters and an advantage for his base in riling them up.
Because they're the ones that everyone sees as the bad guys. So if we start to engage in that same type of rhetoric and that same type of behavior, people will not be able to see the difference between us and them, and we will lose that political edge. So even just from a strategic, not throwing morals out the window here, even from just a strategic point of view, it's a dead end. It's a way that it's a race to the bottom, and it's going to hurt us electorally, and we should stop doing that. Look, I get it, right? I get it. It's annoying.
Just to be clear, we didn't win 2020 because they went too extreme. We won 2020 because Trump fucked his handling of COVID up so bad that it motivated voters on the Biden side.
Well, I think the extremities also motivated our base. And the COVID messing up helped motivate center of the aisle, center right, center left people to go to the Biden side because they wanted somebody else to manage COVID as well. But I do think that the extremism of the Trump administration did motivate Democrats and people in the base to donate, to organize more, to canvass more, to work more, to make sure Trump wasn't reelected.
And it demotivated some voters on the Trump side. Don't forget, Trump got the second most amount of votes in all of U.S. presidential election history, okay? Only behind Biden in that election. So the idea that, they got too radical. They got too radical.
Like, I mean, the Democratic Party right now is investing in the idea that the extremities of Project 2025 is going to push voters away from them. That's why they're doing the whole thing, like at the BET Awards, Google Project 2025, Google it. It was getting Googled more than Taylor Swift, the NFL. I mean, their whole, a big part of the DNC strategy right now, as Biden is getting hit hard on his age, is concentrate on Republican extremity. Concentrate on Biden being the uniter and not being nearly as extreme as these guys. So whether or not Destiny is right here, I'm just saying that the Democrats are certainly investing in the idea that how extreme a Trump presidency will be. Now with JD Vance as VP is certainly one of the things that they're trying to use to win Biden the vote. I mean, the big vote for Biden is going to be the never Trumpers, not the yay Bideners. It's going to be the people who never want Trump, never want Trump, never want Trump because of his extremism.
Got too extreme and it turned off voters is absolutely bullshit. No, it's not. Trump has only gotten more radical since that election, and he's polling better than he was last time. You think Trump is moderated?
No.
Do you think Trump has gotten less radical?
Do you think he has less support?
Extreme. Do you think that? So that's the issue. The issue is that the
like,
Democrats have gotten more radical.
Issue is bullshit too. This idea that there's only one issue that was because of this one single thing and this one single incident like COVID that was what cost us the election is bullshit. That contributed absolutely. But if it wasn't also for the extremism and rhetoric and the just dislikability of Trump, I don't think we would. We might have lost it. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't prove a negative. I can't go back in time, right? But when we come out to 2024 coming up, right? And so first of all, I think we just lose. I think this shooting that's ball game. I think we lose. Like, so that shooter cost us the election.
I think Wick is dooming too hard here. Again, Theodore Roosevelt got shot. He lost. There have been multiple other American political figures who got shot and then proceeded to lose. Donald Trump is somebody that most Americans have already made their mind up about, that they either don't like him or like him. If you don't like Trump, him getting shot and then surviving like that, it doesn't change any of the past things he's done. And it certainly isn't going to change, or it probably will not change the content of his behavior in the next 4 months, which is a lot of time between now and election day. And so that's a lot of times for people who have some temporary sympathy for the man who got shot to be reminded of what he actually wants to do in the country. Voting for somebody for sympathetic reasons might work on America's Got Talent, but when you're choosing somebody who manages the country, it's not logical. Now, I'm not saying American voters are logical. I'm just saying that trusting that sympathy to hold for the next 4 months for people who were in the center or in the center right, who might have been leaning towards Trump or considering Trump, to keep them there, and also leaning on that sympathy to convince people who are not going to vote for him in the first place to at least consider him. I don't know. I don't believe that. I think it's certainly going to galvanize his base. It's certainly not going to hurt him. It's certainly going to help him fundraise. I think people who are on the fence about Trump might go over to Trump now, but saying that it's ball game, it's defeatism, which I already don't like. Definitely when I know Wick at least partially understands the stakes of this election, and defeatism is not an option at this point in the race. And like the post assassination polls that I have seen have Trump up like 4 points. That's like above Biden. It's above Biden, just slightly outside of the margin of error. But the idea that we can't cover 4 points in 4 months, that's not true.
It's done, right? Have you seen some of these photos coming out of Trump with his fist in the fucking air and the American flag behind him and the Secret Service around him? That's ball game. We're done. So that shooter fucked us. He didn't shoot Trump, but he shot our chances in 2024.
I already told you. I thought he should have spent more time practicing first. I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, if he had, okay, oh my God, if he had actually killed Trump, that would have been, I don't know if our nation, like, that would have been a monumental disaster. There would be sectarian violence in the streets at that point.
That would be crazy. Like, what do you think they'd try to do? An insurrection? Holy shit. That would be wild.
Oh, you think January 6th was like an insurrection? It was. But imagine that going through the streets just in general across America. Like, imagine the 2020 riots, but it's right-wingers who actually do know how to shoot.
Yeah,
okay?
And you think that all the Trumpers were just going to go home if they lost the next election?
Man, I don't know. But
okay,
I don't think
we should just we should keep living in the world of I don't know. Like while we're sitting in the corner, in our little cuck chair, watching the bull, fuck our country, okay? Fuck Lady Liberty going, I don't know if he's going to bust in her or not. I'm not sure. Well, let's just wait and find out. Well, Trump continues to...
This feels like a comparison Vosh would have made. I don't know why. This is Destiny's comparison, but okay.
Turn the dial up on all of the rhetoric, while the conservatives continue to be absolutely fucking unhinged, while they continue to deny every single...
Is Vosh horses Destiny bulls?
...facet of reality, while I continue to move on a crash course in destroying this fucking country. At this point, like I said, I don't really give a fuck. You have a guy running for office whose only way out of criminal indictments that were charging him with essentially insurrection was to ask the Supreme Court for absolute criminal immunity for his actions. Okay.
Wait, was Destiny really banned on Kick? You're kidding me. Destiny's suspended on Twitter. That was already wow that he got suspended on Twitter for the stuff that he's saying, which is crazy considering like the amount of stuff that I don't want to get into it too much right now. Maybe we'll get into it later. But he's getting banned on Kick. Kick, really? No. He's a banned on Kick for what he said about that. Really? Kick banned him? My goodness. My goodness. Too extreme for Kick. What a title.
The fuck at this point, all right? It's wild. It's unhinged. I'm sorry.
Their biggest liberal streamer domed.
Do you want them to stop? Do you want them to lose?
I want it to stop, but like the problem is we don't have like a radical 5% in this country that's like setting us over the edge of oblivion. It's like 45% or 50% of the country, my dude.
One of the problems here is one of the reasons that Trump was so successful and got so many involved. And one of the things that has, I agree with you, there's a lot on the right who have gone unhinged, is because they can point to really real things that people have said and done where they feel like they are under attack. And what we have done is we have created this cycle, this circle, where we do this reciprocal radicalization of each other, where both sides point to the extremes of the other, the crazy of the other. And I'm with you, the right is way more crazy. I don't disagree. But what's happening is we are feeding that beast. And so when you make these tweets, and they might, look, I'm not saying that what you've done is destroyed the country with a fucking tweet. No, absolutely.
Seriously, okay, listen, I understand what you're saying about mutually turning the temperature up, but Biden has been the most fucking lukewarm, milquetoast, uniting president that I could have ever fucking imagined, given the term.
I mean, like, the most extreme Biden gets in this rhetoric is when talking about Trump specifically as a threat to American democracy, which, like, there might be, like, a few tweets that I might rewrite, but, I mean, Trump called for the suspension of the U.S. Constitution because he lost an election. Trump tried to make a fake elector slate to replace the real elector slate so he could stay president after losing. He tried to intimidate the Georgian Secretary of State so he could win the state. Gave them the exact amount of votes he needed to quote-unquote find for him so he could win. Like, Trump said before the election was even underway that if he loses, he wouldn't accept it because it was rigged. Like, come on, man.
He came into. And the only thing that...
Like, so for me, it's like, Joe Biden, if anything, needs to be more aggressive in making these points on the campaign trail, clipping it and shipping it, and attacking the vulnerability in Trump's character. I mean, Biden wants to make it a referendum on the character of the two individuals. Well, then it needs to be an aggressive campaign targeting this and pushing attack ads. Like, I don't know if pulling the attack ads in the outflow of the assassination was smart. They did it, so might as well stick with it. But it shouldn't be for too long. They can't just... The reaction to this cannot be to not be honest about Trump's beliefs or what Trump wants to do with the American institutions. It cannot be to not be honest with the American people about the choice that they have in November. Because if we're not honest with them, it's a disservice to them, it's a disservice to the country, and it's against our principles of just basically telling the truth about what Trump thinks about democratic norms, about the type of people he reveres, like Viktor Orban, about how they've gotten authoritarian control of their society and institutions. We need to be honest with them, and that's going to mean making statements that will be politically divisive because it's a dividing line between people who are authoritarian and non-authoritarian, people who are anti-democratic and not anti-democratic, people who want to destroy the institutions, want to get rid of the Environmental Protection Agency, want to cripple the National Labor Relations Board, who want to get rid of nonpartisanship in our bureaucracies when it comes to the individual bureaucrats, the deep state, quote unquote, as they're just referring to them, because deep state has just become a catch-all term. Like, these are real differences, and so we need to emphasize them. That doesn't mean calling for violence, of course. You don't endorse violence, of course. But we owe it to the people to be honest about the choice that they have in November and how it could affect their ability to make choices come 2028, in 2032, in 2036, in 2040.
Conservatives will see from Biden is a picture of him with a red background, claiming that he's screaming that all conservatives are fucking evil. That's the only impression that they have of him. Being nice and not turning up the temperature only works when the other side is perceiving that. But the right, the communicators, the pundits have all failed in their messaging, because you've got the entirety of the Daily Wire, all of Fox News, all of these political pundits are on their knees slurping up every fucking ounce of semen they can suck from Donald Trump's wilted fucking cock. So even when Biden is doing things like, oh, look, well, we're being nicer, or we're trying to be bipartisan, they don't even fucking see it. So what the fuck is the point?
Because what you're doing is you're giving them ammo. It's one of the reasons
they don't need ammo, dog. They've got unlimited ammo from all of their pun. They invent ammo. They literally shit ammo.
But that is
make
less
ammo out of fucking
effective.
nothing.
Look, I agree with you that there's a group of people who are just lost. That no matter what we say or do.
Do you agree that that group of people is about 50% of the country?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
What percentage do you think
30,
it is? Just curious.
30, 20, 30. It's a
Even
large
if it was
amount.
30% of the country, dog, that's over 100 million people.
That's a lot of
Hello?
people. Because
that's a lot of people.
But it's not insurmountable because we have elections.
That's
in this
pretty.
country.
But it is scary when you also have a voter turnout as low as it is, though. If everybody turned out to vote, I'd be a lot less scared.
Insurmountable, my dude. How many people do you think supported fucking Hitler? Do you think it was 30% of the fucking population? That's like 5% is insurmountable almost. What do the conservatives always say? We only need 3% of the population to start a fucking revolution.
I don't give a shit what those fucking conservatives who don't know nothing say. I'm telling you,
well, you probably should, because they represent half of the voting base in this country.
Wick is now ratcheting up the rhetoric.
Probably pretty important.
Divisive Wick.
To listen to them, I think they kind of dictate like half of where the country heads.
Jesus Christ. Destiny, why are you so wrong on this? You're usually so fucking right, but you're so fucking wrong. And look, this idea, right?
Donald Trump, hold on, just to be clear, okay? These are inarguable facts. And if you're gonna put me against any fucking conservative dipshit debater, okay, I'll debate any single fucking person on the internet who wants to, who's of reasonable size, okay? One, Donald Trump engaged in insurrection. That's undeniable. And two, Donald Trump brought a case before the conservative Supreme Court, and he was granted the criminal immunity that he needs to beat that case. That's it.
None of these make it okay to take a shot at him.
No, they destroy the country. So if we're not in America anymore, whatever post-country we're in, maybe shooting at people is on the table. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Who knows? But at this point, we are unrecognizable from anything that we were.
Man, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to discuss like the idea of like presidential immunity and how it's been affected. While there is some open questions of like presidential immunity and what would be covered and whether putting the president above the law by saying that actions taken under official capacity while president is immune from prosecution. There's a question, and this is why it's being sent back to the appellate court, of what is and is not an official capacity, and whether Trump acted in an official capacity when he was doing what he was doing, what the case is about. And if you were deciding whether an order to assassinate a political opponent is an official capacity or not, would have to be pledged upon the issue or put upon the issue of if it stops the actions of the president, of the constitutional actions of the president of the United States, his constitutionally mandated authority. And if somebody can argue that it's not under his constitutionally mandated authority as the president of the United States, and it doesn't block it for him to take this action, that's not why he had to take the action, he did it for other reasons, then it wouldn't be allowed. I'm not a lawyer, so I might have butchered it a little bit, but the point is that this is still a big question mark. It's still a scary question mark, but it's still a big question mark, and it's being sent through the courts right now, and we won't have the full picture painted until we see what the appellate court says and we get some more decisions.
2016, like, it has gotten so fucking warped, okay, that the ex-president is now beating a court case because he has unlimited criminal immunity. All right, I'm good. Whatever happens, happens. If you want to be a king, then you be treated like a king. There's only one way to remove a king from power. I mean, what do you think?
Look, I reject this framing entirely.
Really, what do you reject?
The first thing I reject is that we have changed fundamentally in a country that we cannot get back from. I think we absolutely can. I think, yes, there are very real threats and dangers to democracy.
Oh, hold on, wait. How do we go back to that? How do we get rid of the? So we're going to pass an amendment. We're going to pass an amendment that says actually the president is not above criminal prosecution when he's committing criminal acts. Are we going to pass an amendment for that?
We can. We've done it before. right?
Yeah,
This
that's not
presentism
happening.
and this doomerism is something that I just reject entirely. Absolutely, we have agency, and we can absolutely go. Lex Friedman for $50. Agree with Wick, disagree with Destiny in this. Well, thank you, Lex Friedman. Wick Orbiter, very powerful. Yeah, this idea that we've entirely we are unable to change things. This idea that no, half the country is lost, we can't get through to them. This is the kind of rhetoric that makes it almost certain that someone's going to start taking shots. And
really,
I
so
don't
you
know
think?
if
Hold on. You think that
fight.
Donald Trump? You think that Donald Trump's rise to power is explainable by meanies on the left? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're going with?
No. But it is.
Okay, so then
help.
Donald Trump became president in 2016, which was already insane. He had 4 years of a rule that was worse than any good faith leftist like pundit would have honestly predicted. And now that he's out of the presidency, he's engaged in tons of criminal behavior. Well, and he engaged in criminal behavior while he was president. He's gotten immunity from that, from his Supreme Court. And now he's running again on even more divisive rhetoric, planning to do even more damage next time. This is all because people were mean to conservatives?
No.
Were they mean to conservatives when they made jokes about Paul Pelosi getting beat with a hammer?
Oh my
God. Were they mean to conservatives when they talked about Hillary's?
Man, I gotta say, the Paul Pelosi stuff. I mean, Trump just did not care. Trump, he openly joked about it. Don Jr., his son, openly joked about it multiple times, mind you. Donald Trump recently calling the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot fake. Like every time there was political violence targeted towards his enemies or any really sort of misfortune, he is openly celebrating it and clapping along to it, even if he isn't directly calling for violence. And that is divisive. That is very divisive. And I mean, so for me to hear protesting, I can understand principally if you were against both, being against both, but if you were clapping along to that, or you thought it was funny and haha, and now somebody jokes about it in reverse, and now you're angry, you're a hypocrite, you're a dunce, you don't have principle, you just don't like it when your guy's bullied, but when your guys are doing the bullying towards victims of political violence, it's totally cool and okay. You want it to be normalized, you just want that violence normalized towards your opponents.
These emails and fucking Benghazi investigations year after year, were they mean when they denied any type of foreign intrusion into our entire fucking media apparatus? Were they which part were they mean on? Here's the thing. Here's what I don't understand. Can you tell me this, okay? You know what? I'll shut it all down, Wick. I will shut it all down. This is what I challenge you to do tonight, and I'll walk back what I'm saying. I want you to find me 3 links of a mainstream, and they can be alternative to mainstream Republican commentator going, hey guys, maybe we're taking things a little bit too far, and the liberals have a point. Is what?
Joe Walsh mainstream.
I mean, yeah, but he ran for president of the United States against Trump, and he got 2 votes. He got 2 votes. So he's mainstream as in he's on cable news. But when we talk about powerful Republicans, I mean, the people I would think of would be maybe somewhat Mitch McConnell, but he was divisive in a different way. And the way that they blocked Obama's Supreme Court appointments was toxic to American politics in a different way. And he's also out the door. He's almost out the door both politically, because he's not going to be in office for much longer, and he couldn't even if he wanted to because of health reasons. So I mean, maybe Mitch McConnell, maybe Dan Crenshaw a little bit, but nobody that's gonna have power to stop Trump or do anything if he wins again. Certainly with a majority in the House and Senate of any size.
Joe Walsh isn't even a conservative anymore.
No, he is. He's a never Trumper, but he is a Republican.
The never Trumpers are out politically. The never Trumpers don't survive in the Republican Party anymore.
Conservative. That's one.
Yeah,
and I didn't even have to
gone.
Google that. That's
now.
one. You're already wrong.
He's an ex.
Right? You're already wrong. That's one.
I'm sorry. Do you want to support? Do you want to quote the 2 conservatives that were on the 9/11 Commission too? If you really want the big.
Joe Walsh is someone who's no one, right? He's got 500K followers. I think more than you on Twitter, right? So he's not no one, right? So again, that's one. And I guarantee you, if I start,
I mean, you could say Liz Cheney. You could say a bunch of people who are no longer in office. Don Bacon, who's no longer in office, or all these other people who have specifically dropped out of office or have been pushed out of office by the Trump faction. Like, these are people who exist, but they're no longer that politically powerful. Like, the best you can get are people like Susan Collins, who will say, I'm gonna write in like George Bush during the election. That's the best you can get.
Google and I start searching, I could probably find 2 more.
And
so yes, I will take you up on that.
Somebody who hasn't removed themselves from the Republican Party. Find someone who hasn't removed themselves from the conservative movement.
Susan Collins would be, I think, a good point to make. But again, these are holdouts in swing districts that are being, by their material conditions, forced to buck Trump. And they might actually have ideological disagreements with him as well. But these are the exceptions, not the rule.
And I'll take you seriously, because never Trumpers who are no longer going to be politically relevant in the political party, I don't think,
right? Because you know you're wrong, so you're like, well, okay, now I have to throw out more variables, so we, I'm correct, right? Instead of just going with your initial statement. Come on, man, you're better.
I'm sorry, hold on. Is Walsh in office right now?
No.
Oh. Crazy.
So they have to be elected officials.
Wait.
You have to be elected officials, not influencers.
No, it's not that he has to be an elected official. It's that the only reason you know about him is because he was an elected official. Why isn't he an elected official anymore in the conservative party that I'm criticizing for becoming a fucking fascist? It's because he criticized the fascists. This is the guy that you want to cite as though you've made some kind of prescient point that, like, well, actually, no, there are some conservatives that have been cast outside of the party who are called rhinos, Republicans in names only. They criticized Donald Trump. Good one.
$100 from Lawson Harrison. Wick, I think you're correct, but only in a more ideal situation. It's difficult to expect a sane society with half an insane population. This, again, like, I will find you those conservatives. I will make, but this is my fear here, Destiny.
I mean, like, Susan Collins, there's like a few, there's barely any left. I mean, like, they were like, Lindsey Graham would said, like, the Republican Party shall suffer the consequences if we make Trump our nominee. We will reap what we sow. And now he's one of his biggest champions. He was a big champion of the Senator Langford's border deal until Trump said no because it would hurt him politically, and then immediately was trying to sink it. I mean, these were the never Trumpers like 7-8 years ago who in the meantime have been brought to heel.
Is you're just gonna give me more variables why they don't.
Like, the most recent rally of that crowd was around Nikki Haley, who has been boxed out, presumably, of the coming administration.
Actually count. And I don't know.
I want people that are relevant, conservative commentators who are saying, who have some point over the past few years.
Somebody else just brought up another name, Mitt Romney. That's a good example. Somebody who also is on his way out of the Senate.
Guys, maybe we're being like a little bit too on the extreme side. Not ex-states, not ex-lawmakers who are no longer a part of the Republican Party, but like somebody from Fox News, somebody from the Daily Wire, like mainstream political commentators are like, you know what, guys, maybe we need to, like, pump the brakes a little bit.
I will get to Googling. I will find out. But again, this idea, and I'll leave you with this, right? This idea that there is nothing we can do. Shooting should be on the table. That I don't care anymore. They've done the bad thing, so now we should.
Destiny hasn't said that should be on the table, did he? I didn't hear that during this conversation. If he did, I missed it. And that's crazy that he would say that. But I didn't hear that, so I'm not going to assume it.
Be able to also do the bad thing. I do think that is the reason the Republicans lost, because they're doing the bad thing, right? Because they're unhinged, because they have crazy rhetoric, because they do all this shit. I think that's why they lost in 2018. I think that's one of the reasons they lost in 2020. And I think that's one of the major reasons they lost in 2022. Obviously, it's not the only reason. Obviously, there were other factors in play, but I think that was a contributor to it. So what I fear, what I worry about, is that we will take that off the table as a way for voters to differentiate between the two parties, between the two groups. And I don't want people to be able to fucking post a clip of you saying, oh, maybe shooting should be on the table, and say, well, look, see, the left's no different than the right here, and they're both extremist weirdos. I want to make sure that that's as hard, as difficult for them to do as possible, so when they do find those extreme weirdos out there like fucking Hassan and all these fucking weirdos that they're making similar takes, like you're echoing a lot of Hassan's points right now, which is weird. I don't want them to have an easy time with it, and I want us to be able to brush that off. That's all I want.
Let's go, but that's great. That's fine. When the history books are written about the United States of America, one of the things that people will have to realize is democracy only works when everybody participates. If half the people don't want to row the boat, you can tell your people to row as hard as you want, but you're not going to fucking go anywhere. And chastising them for giving up on rowing isn't going to make the boat move any faster. You have to have your population bought into concepts of democracy. And when they aren't, then the country fails. Doesn't matter what your rhetoric is, doesn't matter what the fuck you say. No amount of liberals being nice is going to fundamentally alter any Trump position about the positions of Donald Trump, the principles that he has or lack thereof, and the way that he runs the country.
Also, like, Destiny isn't advocating for Biden to take the rhetoric Destiny's taking, right? Like, when I listen to, like, I would imagine Destiny would tell, like, Trump would tell, doing a Bidenism, would tell Biden to, like, go more aggressive at Donald Trump's flaws, not laugh at the shooting victims, right? Like, I would imagine that this is just Biden, like, a Destiny-centric behavior of him wanting to get a giggle out of this and be the center of attention in the spite of conservatives in these Twitter spaces.
And I hope that people start realizing.
And there's no way he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, he probably loves he thinks it's part of the content circle of life.
That maybe conservatives will at some point abandon Trump, but probably not, because he can basically do fucking anything because he is now our king, immune from criminal prosecution. God bless. But yeah, when you anoint a king, again, the only way to take a king out is what? I mean, how are kings traditionally removed from power? What do you expect to happen?
Well, thanks for coming on. I still think you're wrong. I will Google those names and find you. Destiny.
Did Wick ever give Destiny those names? Does anybody know? This debate, when was this debate? This debate was 2 days ago. Does anybody know if he ever gave those names? Does anybody know? That's spot on, I think, Dylan. Well, that's because I said it, of course. Just Joe Walsh, that was the only one we got? Okay, well, if he ever gets the names, please let me know, because I'd like to see this this secret wall of never Trumpers. Moving on from it, and I'm not going to give like big sweeping conclusions from each of these videos because Destiny has said so much about this. I just want to get through as much of this as possible, and we'll just give my takes along the way. So Destiny also went on Piers Morgan. We're not going in chronological order. We're jumping ahead a little bit here, but Destiny went on Piers Morgan a few times recently. And most recent, it was after his comments about the guy that was hit at the Trump rally and killed. And so he went on Piers Morgan to talk about that and a bunch of other things in Trump's agenda, trying to center it around Trump's authoritarianism. So I wanted to check out a few of these clips before we move on to the next one, where Destiny debates 10 people. Don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing. And I don't know if we're going to get to Destiny not debating Elon Musk. I mean, totally debating Elon Musk. Let's check this out.
You couldn't find it in your heart to chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have completely bled that well dry. And the idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio. You've got conservatives that talk about how the mRNA vaccines were ways to sneak microchips into us. You've got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government was trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th. They say that the election was stolen and that your country is being taken from you. Like, I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric and when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But you say,
see, this right here is the most clear, concise version of Destiny's take without all the mockery and stuff to anger the conservatives. There's still stuff to argue with from the conservative angle here. There's still something you could say, well, liberals have matched that escalation. And remember when Maxine Waters said X, Y, and Z? There's ways you can go at this. But this is so much more presentable of an argument from Destiny, but it also doesn't bring in the same viewership, doesn't get the same amount of people watching, isn't going to draw as much attention. So, I mean, I guess it's usually like, I don't know. The cycle is Destiny will come out, get heated about something, say something in the most, I don't know, like toxic way, or like cover his fist in like spikes before making points, making sure that it rubs people like sandpaper. before then falling back into a defensive position where he's going to put out the more clear, concise version of the take that is more charitable and harder to argue with, and is going to have the substance of it more clear to the first-time listener to his points. I've seen it time and time and time again, and that's how people who go back and forth on Twitter will then march into a voice conversation, meet this new, more clear restating of his previous position with less hyperbolic terminology attached to it, and then they're lost. Anyway, let's see. I think there's a few more clips from this back and forth that we could watch before we move on to the next segment. Let's see. Soybite is clipping this. Soybite, the clipper. Let's see.
Celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it in you to chastise people who do that, aren't you just as despicable as the people you've just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you just so you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal? How many times as a liberal have you been on a show? Not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence, and blah blah blah. And then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th,
violence.
that was
That's
a false
good.
flag.
Yeah.
January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There's an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it.
Honestly, like, while I think, again, Destiny is being, in a way, the worst spokesman before trying to follow it up with being a much better spokesman for this idea, for his even though I think there is substance to what he's saying here, and we're going to get into the continuing this and continue to try to find that substance amongst all the hyperbolic rhetoric, joking, probing, and distasteful talking that Destiny likes to engage in to poke and prod and bring in the viewers. I do want to say, anytime Dave Rubin gets laughed at like that, it's a good night. So just one W for Destiny there, undisputed W. 1 second. I think that's enough Piers Morgan clips. I don't want to watch more Piers Morgan clips. Let's watch Destiny's 1v10, where he talked to person after person after person after person over his mocking of the person who got I don't want to get demonetized, game ended on at the Trump rally. We're not going to watch all of this because this is very long, but we're going to watch a lot of it, and we're going to clip through it once it gets boring, and we'll move on to the Elon one, because the Elon one, or not Elon one, I heard is fascinating. And that Elon and him talked a little bit about war, and that Elon's morality around war is a little bogus.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining the space. Destiny, I'm going to invite you as a speaker, so you just have... Okay, we can wait for a minute until he connects, and when he is connected, he can unmute himself and speak. Can you hear me now, Destiny?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah, let this play. I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
you. Can everyone show, by show of hands, can you guys hear us okay? Just drop like a heart or a hello.
I'm muting them for a sec. This is going to be how every single conservative debate should go. If you debate a conservative, this is how every single one should go until the election.
That's okay.
This is going to be a walkthrough for that, okay?
So I just wanted to create this space because there was obviously a huge event happening yesterday. And as maybe some people saw, there's a lot of...
So I've been streaming for over 4 hours. I'm going to be heading out east again, probably this weekend. We keep moving it back because of differences with the press officers and stuff like that. If you guys want to help cover the gas costs, the fixer costs, and the stuff to help make it possible, we're going to be filming with mortar crews, grad rocket crews, now also FPV drones and drone drop teams, people who are using Mavics and dropping drones, dropping drone grenades. I didn't get any footage of them, and that might seem like one of the smaller, more boring ones compared to the Baba Yaga and other drones we filmed with, but I want to show the humble beginnings for the drone documentary. And if you guys want to help cover those costs, you can go to DylanBurns.tv, donate, support the channel, make it so we can pay for the translators, pay for the editors, pay for the travel costs, pay for the embed stuff. I greatly appreciate it. Anyway, back to this.
Arguing going on about Trump and who he is and all that stuff. So I just wanted to chat with Destiny, hopefully respectfully, and just hear his thoughts about why he says the things that he does about Trump, and maybe share some of my own thoughts. Maybe he'll dance circles around me, maybe not, because he's a very skilled debater. I'm not a live streamer. He does this for a living. This is just a hobby of mine. So thanks, Destiny, for coming on and chatting. And yeah, where did you want to start?
Yeah, I guess firstly, wait, so what is your current political affiliation? Or like, who do you like support or whatever? Like,
I'm in
Dylan, rewind, you missed something? What did I miss?
Canada.
Okay, let me go back and see what I missed.
So he's here and I'm going to invite you, and when he
yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just
it should go.
A heart or a hello.
I'm muting them for a sec.
If you can
this is going to be how every single conservative debate should go. If you debate a conservative, this is how every single one should go until the election.
Okay, so he was saying that this is how you should talk to conservatives moving forward. Okay, so this is the Destiny example debate. So this is his foundation of where he's working from. Okay, so this is how he advertises to other streamers like me to talk to conservatives. Okay, now we know this is Destiny at his A game moving forward for the election.
About me, I'm in Canada and I'm conservative.
In Canada and you're conservative. Okay, so I can assume that you support Donald Trump or whatever?
Yeah, I think he did a good job when he was president. I don't think he, he's the monster that people make him out to be, or like the criminal that people make him out to be. I think,
I mean, he quite literally is, because a criminal is, you've committed a crime, and he's been convicted for a crime by a jury of his peers. So, I mean, I don't know.
Brash as he is, and some of the things that
you could say he's a cool criminal if you want to, but he's a criminal.
That people make him out to be. I think, as brash as he is, and some of the things that he says in a bombastic Trump way, I don't think he's as bad as the media tries really, really hard to portray him.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that he led an insurrection against the U.S. government and he tried to steal power?
I don't think he did that. I don't see evidence of him saying he incited an insurrection. I think I watched him.
I mean, when people say I don't see evidence, he took the actions. He made the fake slate of electors. He said it was rigged before the election. After the election, he called for the suspending of the U.S. Constitution. He tried to pressure Mike Pence to accept the fake slate of electors. When January 6th was going on and the protesters got violent, he sat there for hours doing nothing, trying to see them pay for the consequence of not backing his attempt to overturn the election system. He tried to pressure the Secretary of State of Georgia to find the votes, quote unquote, that he needed to win, and gave him the exact number of votes needed to be overturned for him to win. There were executive orders written up about using the National Guard, the military, to seize voting machines, seizing our electoral system with the military. I mean, come on. In these plans and new ideas, all the way up to Mike Lindell, all type of crazy people he was talking to, trying to find some way. I mean, does anybody remember when Mike Lindell walked into the White House with like a binder where we could see nothing written on it but like martial law, declare martial law, etc. Like all these plans that he was cooking up, trying to find some way he could stay in power after he clearly lost the election and then lost every court case trying to appeal it. Either because his lawyers were not good at managing it, not good at managing those cases, or because obviously he didn't have much merit. And you can look at the claims that he based it upon, claims that were disproven to him by government official after government official, some of which he would remove for telling the truth about his claims, like the cybersecurity official saying that the election was much more secure than previous ones, that it was actually quite a secure election. He got removed immediately because he wasn't saying the Trump line. He wasn't carrying Trump's banner. But yeah, so I do think that he tried to usurp our election system. I do think he tried to overthrow the democratic process. You can call it insurrection, you can call it usurping of our democratic norms, call it whatever you want, but he certainly tried to Uno reverse card democracy.
Call for peace on video. I saw the tweet that he put out saying we want peace, we're the party of law and order. Like, I don't think that you can ascribe insurrection to those words.
Are you aware that Donald Trump organized 7 different sets of people to fake an elector vote in 7 different states in the United States with the goal of sending those elector votes to Congress and then begging and then pressuring Mike Pence, first with words and then with violence that he directed on the 6th, in order for him to unilaterally toss the election by either selecting those electorate votes, the fake ones that he submitted, or by having the House choose Donald Trump to be the president against the will of the American people. Are you aware of any of that?
I haven't seen him using any kind of threats of violence against Mike Pence.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I didn't say anything about a threat of violence. I don't know who you're talking to or what you're responding to. I just asked you very specifically for the thing that I just laid out. Are you aware of any of that? Do you know any of that?
I believe you said something about.
I don't know if I know Destiny's just trying to like stay on point, and that's good. Staying on point is very good. Keep pressure on the point that you want. Don't let divert, but I don't know if that comes off well when you that quickly, like, I don't know who you're talking to. Like, she's talking to you. I just don't know if the smugness plays well. I think he enjoys it. I just don't know if it plays well. So it's hard to balance sometimes a Destiny conversation, because you can tell some things he says because it's funny and he gets enjoyment out of it and his community gets enjoyment out of it. But also, like, I can't tell where, like, the good rhetoric is attempting to start and end and where the shits and giggles are starting and ending. So it's hard to tell how to properly judge a conversation, because like a lot of the things where I could be like, hey, would this be most convincing to the audience listening? And you'd be like, I don't care, that was funny. And it was true. And it'd be like, okay, well, got you.
Violence.
Okay, let me restate, okay?
Okay.
Donald Trump organized 7 different sets of people, okay, in 7 different states to send in fake votes, okay, to Congress, essentially, in order to pressure Mike Pence, okay? First,
can I also just say how pathetic that is? I didn't lose. I got all my friends to be the real electors. They said I won. It's really sad when you think about it.
With words,
you're gonna get tired of winning.
Pence, okay.
Well, first it was with words. He begged him to do it behind the scenes multiple times, and Pence said no because he's not a traitor to the country. And then the second time is he called his crowd of people that he gathered on the 6th and then sent them to the Capitol grounds to protest, with the goal of getting Pence to choose the fake electorate votes that he sent in to Congress. Are you aware of any of that?
What is the evidence for that, though?
It's laid out in the indictments, and nobody denies any of it.
I don't even know what you mean by like what the evidence is for that, because none of this is like denied. This is like the whole plot. This is all public record. This is on. Like, everyone knows these things happen. It's a question. She can disagree with the framing, saying, well, actually, it was stolen because X, Y, and Z, so it was perfectly fine for them to, but she would have to prove that it's stolen. This just seems to indicate that she doesn't really know anything about it. She could instead argue the factoids of it, but she said that he didn't engage in insurrection whatsoever, so she was making, like, positive claims. If she would have said, I don't know enough about the issue, I'm Canadian, I'm just here to facilitate conversation, maybe she could get away with it. But no, she took a positive position on this, and so she should know this. She should know this. She should know this.
If you want, you can go to YouTube, and if you want, I'll wait 5 minutes right now for you. You can go on YouTube and you could go, false electorates try to enter Capitol. And there are videos that will pop up. The first one says, Republicans try to deliver their own electoral votes to Michigan Capitol. There are people that are being charged in multiple states right now for perjuring themselves, saying that they were the duly elected, appointed representatives of their state to cast their electorate vote. Nobody denies this.
The president would never ask somebody to lie on his behalf, though. Very honest, man.
Nobody denies this. Okay? So you're not aware of any of this.
I haven't heard of that story, no.
That's another way of saying you're not aware of any of this. So, okay, so step one, okay, let's assume that what I just said is true because nobody's denying it, and Trump's defense against this is to ask for criminal immunity. You're aware of that, right? That Donald Trump's way of defending himself was to go before the Supreme Court and say, I need to be immune from criminal prosecution. Are you aware of that?
Well, I wasn't following it that closely, so no.
Okay, well, are you aware that Donald Trump, his attorney went before the Supreme Court and was granted criminal immunity for the first time in all of U.S. history for an ex-president, that now the office of the presidency enjoys absolute criminal immunity and presumptive criminal immunity for basically every action a president can take? Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. How many videos have you seen of Joe Biden stumbling down some stairs or having slurs or forgetting words in his speech?
No.
Well, they are floating around. I've seen some of those.
Yep. Do you understand that this is a problem? That you have absolutely no idea what's going on in my country, what's going on in my, let me finish, please, and then you can go, you talk as long as you want.
Sure.
You don't know what's happened in my country. You don't know what's happened with my government. You don't know any of the things that Donald Trump has been involved in. But I bet if I go through your Twitter, I can find 50 million videos of Joe Biden with his stupid open mouth or slurring some word. Do you think that's an issue?
Well, I think the president being fit is an issue. Yeah, for sure.
What about being an insurrectionist?
I don't believe he's an insurrectionist.
Oh, what did I just lay out then that either doesn't qualify for insurrection or isn't true from what I just said? Or if you want, you can admit that you have no idea what I'm talking about and you need to go back to the drawing board before even beginning to have an opinion on this topic.
Well, I can have an opinion because free speech exists, so I can say what I want to say.
Yeah, it just won't be an informed position. It would just not be an informed opinion. It would just not be a useful opinion. I can have an opinion on nuclear physics. I just don't think it would be that useful.
First of all, no. Number one, no. You're a Canadian. You have no guarantee of free speech. Number two, that's obviously not what I meant. You obviously are entitled to an opinion. I'm saying that it was a shorthand for to have a well-formed opinion that merits consideration, right? If you're not even aware of any of the major events happening in this country, I don't know how you can have a strong opinion on whether or not Donald Trump is an insurrectionist or not.
Well, I see what the media says about the current events, and I see the media pushing and saying...
Oh, no, I don't like it. I hate it when somebody is just... Their politics stems from contrarianism, and I can feel it when people say, well, the media said this. And this is how I find a lot of people who are oppositional to Ukraine. And it's, well, the media said this, so I didn't trust them. And they don't realize it a lot of times. And I don't know if that's this woman in this case. But what they don't realize a lot of times is if every time you look at the media and the media says, yeah, I think global warming's real. So you say, no. Well, I think we should support Ukraine. So you're like, no. What you don't realize is you're still allowing the mainstream media to dictate your opinion. It's just instead of them taking one step forward, you take one step back. I mean, you take one step forward with them. They take one step forward, you take one step back. They take a step back, you take a step forward. You're matching them. You're still allowing them to control what you do. Their opinions should be their opinions. It should not have much of a bearing on what you do one way or the other way. Outside, or you're like, politics is just going to be based in contrarianism. It's literally basing your politics in hate. It's literally like, I hate them, so I don't do what they want. I do the opposite. There's no positive message there. Like, you should make, like, just, it's not that hard to form your own opinions without having to base it in, I don't like them, so I'm going to do the exact opposite of what they believe.
Things like, to serve his country, President Biden should drone strike Donald Trump. And to me, that seems like not very appropriate thing to say for as an advice for the current sitting president. And that doesn't seem like a strong uphold of democracy or decency, as they would say, because they said decency was on the ballot.
If Rachel Maddow told you that walking on sidewalks was dangerous, would you walk in the street?
No.
Then why are you citing me something that the media said and then giving me your 4-year... Do you have children? Do you react to everything like a child? If the media says something you don't like it, do you just take the opposite position without giving a single original thought yourself into what you're actually being told? Or is your entire ideology defined by reactionism?
No, I'm not ideologically possessed. I agree with certain things that sometimes the liberals say, and I can disagree with certain things that conservatives do.
Okay.
It's not...
That's fine.
Not like... Yeah, it's not like I watch, state Canadian media and take the opposite stance of everything they say, because twice a day a broken clock is right. So
cool.
It's not
okay.
An issue
so then
for me.
I think we can going back to the insurrection thing. If every part of what I laid out was true, if Donald Trump slated false electors in states, had that sent to Congress, and knowingly gathered a crowd of 50,000 whatever people, and then sent them to the Capitol building in the hopes that they would protest to pressure the fake electors being chosen, do you think any of that qualifies as an insurrection?
Would I have to be an expert in insurrection law to state that one way or another?
But you don't have to be an expert in insurrection law to say confidently that it wasn't?
Oh, I was muted that whole time? I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Oopsie doopsie. What I was trying to say is, like, earlier she was like very quick to answer, and she's like, no, he's not an insurrectionist. If she would have said earlier that, no, I need to be an expert to comment on this, and didn't make a point of like, I'm allowed to have an opinion, you know, which is the point that she made. Even if she's not an expert, she's allowed to have an opinion. It would hold up more that now she's saying, well, I'm not an expert in insurrection law, so I can't say if he's an insurrectionist, especially since she's already answered that he wasn't an insurrectionist like less than 5 minutes ago.
Well, perhaps you're right about that, but like I said, I refer to his actual words that he put out on social media and on video saying that he's requesting for peace.
You understand that came after he was begged for hours while he and his crony, corrupt Giuliani made phone calls to sitting congressmen inside of the locked down building, right? That he was calling them, pressuring them to delay the certification of the vote. It was hours after that he finally went on Twitter when the insurrection,
including Mike Johnson, by the way,
had failed, and said, okay, guys, we need to go home.
Mike Johnson actually led the effort to overturn the results in the House.
Well, like I said, I wasn't following it 24/7.
Then why do you have an opinion on it? You weren't following 24/7. You were following it 0-0. You have no idea what happened on any of this. Why do you think you should have an opinion on any of this?
Well, I told you I can have an opinion if I want.
You can, but then people should like make fun of you and like bully the out of you for it, right? You've literally no idea about any of this. It wasn't that what our original tweet was over? Is that I think I called you didn't I call you a hack? It seems like I was correct, right? You have absolutely no idea about literally any of these issues.
Oh my God.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I haven't followed the case as closely as you have.
Hold on, not closely. You don't even have any idea. You have no concept. You don't know anything about what I'm talking. You don't even know what an electoral vote is, do you?
Of course I do. Of course I do. It's what the United States has for their electoral process. We have a similar process here in Canada. It's not majority vote. It's not democracy. It's a constitutional republic.
Okay, if you know what an electoral vote is, do you think it's acceptable for people to try to fake them? Like Donald Trump did in 7 different states?
Well, like I said, what is the evidence?
By the way, the swing states that he needs to win, by the way.
Them? Like Donald Trump did in 7 different states?
It's weird that only the states where he lost are the ones where there's a problem with electors needing to be replaced with more legitimate electors that Trump handpicked.
Well, like I said, what is the evidence?
Well, him and his team, to be specific.
Evidence that he faked those. What is your evidence for that?
What do you mean? They just said these are electors, and they got them to all gather. They weren't the electors chosen by the official process. Where there's official electors, he made non-official electors and tried to push them as official. This is a public record. They don't even deny it. I mean, even JD Vance, like when asked about it on like public TV, he's like, yeah, we should have been able to consider alternative slate of electors, suggesting that there were other slates of electors. Like, this is, what do you mean evidence? This is public knowledge. She really doesn't know anything about this. No, she doesn't. She doesn't know the basics.
What would you want to see? What if I could show you, hypothetically, 7 different certifications filled out with false electors? I can send you a YouTube video of these people literally gathering outside in Michigan in the courthouse. Hold on.
That's the crazy thing. There's like so much footage of it. There's like all this, like they of them just at tables, like certifying it as fake elect. Like this, there's pictures, video, documents, court cases. There's so much evidence.
Here's a YouTube video for that. I can go on Obsidian and I can find you the if anybody has a quick link to the like they have photographs of all of the of all the fake things that they filled out, pretending that they were the.
They also have photographs and video of people, stuffing ballots and bringing out bags and security footage from places where people are voting, and they were putting up tarps.
But wait. You've got video footage of people moving votes around of ambiguous nature of what was the intention of moving these votes around, which led to a lot of speculation online. That is different than clear-cut videos of people who are not the officially chosen electors saying that they are electors while filling out, perjuring on documents on camera, saying that they are electors while trying to keep Trump in power in specifically the swing states that Trump lost. And just the swing states that Trump lost. Very convenient. Like, this isn't comparable.
Over the windows, and
are you aware? Are you aware that every single one of those was investigated, and that every single one of those was heard before a court, and that every single one of these, except for one, was shot down? A lot of them by conservative judges that Trump himself, or at least his administration, appointed.
well, like I said, I wasn't following this case 24/7, so no, I wasn't following the procedures that
you brought it
came
up.
out of that.
Okay, but you've seen pictures of it, right?
She just brought up, I saw someone what looked like ballot stuffing on the internet, and then he asked like about the most basic of follow-up, and she was like, well, I did do a ton of research. Why did you bring it up? Why bring up these topics if we don't know anything about them?
Are you embarrassed or ashamed that you...
What's the point of a pivot? If you pivot to another, if you pivot from one topic you know nothing about to another topic you know nothing about.
You've had like strong opinions about this because of pictures that you've seen, because of like Elon Musk feeding you lies on Twitter?
Dustin, you don't have to be that rude. I'm being really respectful.
Hold on, no, wait. Hold on. I need you to understand something so much, okay? You're not being respectful. You're actually evil, okay? This idea that you can walk around and as long as... That's great, I don't care. The idea that you can walk around and as long as you say the worst type of shit imaginable in a nice enough voice, that you should be treated with respect is absurd, right? In no other function in life would anybody ever be treated that way. You have no concept of anything related to the insurrection. You have no concept of what's even happened aside from what you've seen, I guess, on Twitter and the media, but you're out here tweeting along with every other insurrectionist supporting in my country about how Donald Trump is treated unfairly in the media and Joe Biden isn't fit to be president. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about for any of this, though.
Hey, do you think it's okay?
Is occurred.
Weak Sauce 13 has donated $5. Dylan, I love you, but you gotta stop mentioning schizophrenics as if they're violent psychopathic killers. I'm schizophrenic and we are far more likely to be the victims of violent...
As victims of violent crime. You know, I've thought about sometimes I use schizo as kind of like just like a kind of throw all insult for crazy people. And I've thought about like this exact scenario happening where so like, what if somebody takes that and they think that like I'm like, oh, all schizophrenics are like this? Because I know that there's people who can live with schizophrenia who are able to normally function. And I'm trying to think of like a different insult I could use, but I just really like schizophrenic. I'll think about different insults that I can use, but I really just like schizophrenic. I'll try to give more disclaimers that there are nice schizophrenics that are not crazy and dangerous, but just live with it. Absolutely. That's not experience I had in the mental ward. I got one of the people who actually were off the deep end, but then there are also people that can live with it perfectly fine. Just say crazy? Yeah, crazy's easy, but it doesn't feel as punchy. I like punchy ones. Schizo feels punchy. Rolls off the tongue. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I'll think about it. Thank you for the $5. And for the people saying stream's rolling, sorry, connection dropped for a little bit. It is what it is.
Okay for Joe Biden voters to, make like a life-sized version of Trump and like put a fake guillotine over him, or to hold up bloody severed heads of him and
maybe troglodyte moving forward.
Joe Biden voters to, make like a life-sized version of Trump and like put a fake guillotine over him, or to hold up bloody severed heads of him and things like that. Do you think that contributes to anything that's happening in the States?
Nope. I think that to the first question, I would say, no, that's not acceptable. Were Democrats or protesters doing that outside of the Capitol building, except instead of a guillotine of Trump, were they talking about Mike Pence? And were they doing that because the president of the United States said that they needed to pressure Mike Pence? And that when Mike Pence wasn't accepting the pressure, he tweeted out that Pence...
Out of all the examples she used guillotine, which is the exact symbol they used outside the Capitol during J6. Out of all the symbols, whatever.
This has failed us. Did that happen? Do you remember any of that? Or is that another thing that's conveniently mind-wiped from your brain?
I saw that tweet. So I saw that. You don't have to insult me. Like, there's no need for that.
Snack Trash has donated $50. Supplies.
Hey, that money's going to be going towards gas for us to head towards the front coming up this weekend. Thank you so much for the gas money. I appreciate that, buddy. I use that for the embed. Thank you. Thank you, Snack Trash.
That tweet, and I saw some people calling for Mike Pence for whatever they were calling for him.
To be clear, hold on, just to be clear, they were calling for his assassination because he wasn't willing to finish the insurrection, to finish the coup that Donald Trump and Eastman had set up for him.
Okay.
Just to be clear,
well,
yeah.
I don't believe that a few crazies represent the majority.
They do. But they do. Why would you say that? The president called them there in a speech. He gave them exactly the words that they needed. He said that Mike Pence is the one who needs to toss basically the election for us. He's the only one that we can rely on. He told them that we need to make sure that our electorate slates are counted. And then he sent them to the Capitol building to pressure I guess the people there to do whatever it is that they were supposed to do, which was to steal the election.
But did he tell them to call for his assassination? Did he incite them to do that? Is that what you're saying?
Did he incite them? Yes, he laid out every single.
Well, no, they didn't tell them to go kill this exact politician, et cetera, et cetera. But he wanted them on the Capitol to add pressure. And once they got violent, he did nothing. On top of all of the other levers he pulled on to try to keep him in power, this was like the final use of public pressure in the MAGA movement to try to get through his usurping of our election system. And he has given no remorse or indication that what he thinks he did was wrong after the fact. So we have no reason to believe that Trump wouldn't do it again if put in the same position to grab a hold of our election system. Let's say that 2028, Donald Trump is president, about to pass over the reins to Donald Trump Jr. to be president once he's gone, and he loses against candidate J.B. Pritzker, Sherrod Brown, Gavin Newsom, whoever it is, and he says, actually, no, it was stolen. And then he uses the levers of power and the bureaucrats he's replaced using Project 2025 as an outline in the authority that they want to give him to fire any bureaucrat for any reason, even the nonpartisan ones, and replace them with loyalists. He controls the institutions, surrounds himself with loyalists who are willing to do it, including a vice president who'd be willing to usurp the election system. Why wouldn't he do it again if there's less barriers and less people telling him no that time, when he could pass power to his kid and keep the Trump train rolling? What anti-authoritarian tendencies has Trump really displayed to balance out all the authoritarian tendencies he has displayed?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, ma'am. So he needs to say the exact words. You need to go assassinate someone for him to be culpable. In that case, you would agree then that there is not a single Democrat in leadership that you would hold responsible for any amount of violence, right? Unless, are you going to show me? Are you going to show me some kind of tweet or video of a Democrat saying we need to kill conservatives? Have you seen a single one of those?
I've seen some crazy statements coming from Democrats.
I didn't ask for crazy statements. I asked, were there explicit calls for violence where they said we need to go kill conservatives?
Okay, so like I don't have a photographic memory. I believe I've seen similar things, maybe not by elected Democrats, but Democrat voters.
Oh, wait, excuse me, Democrat voters? What does that have to do with anything? I was talking about the president of the United States, and now you're going to appeal to an average everyday citizen like they have the same level of moral responsibility or political culpability?
But Trump did not call for his followers to go and do something insanely violent.
Yes, he did. He called for them to go march to the Capitol grounds and to protest the certification of the vote in the United States of America, to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, which is what they did for some number of hours.
A protest is a legal proceeding. You can protest peacefully.
Did they protest peacefully?
I believe they did.
Really? How did the ones get inside the building?
A guy. I watched a guy saying we need to go into the Capitol, and people were around him saying, no, we do not need to do that.
She's talking about Mike Epps now. Oh, God. It's just bad point after bad point. And she's not going to know anything really about Mike Epps, is she? She just said, I saw a guy. She didn't even say Mike Epps. She doesn't even know who he is. Oh, my gosh. It's like she's choosing the worst moves every time. It's like, okay, I keep getting hit by this southpaw's jab.
A curd is a curd.
Move straight ahead, no dodging
if, like
again.
Destiny, you were okay with left-wing brigands laying siege to courthouses, police departments, etc., you don't get to cry about democracy. You never cared about democracy. Hyper-moral hypocrisy.
Is this a point towards me? I think this might have been pointed towards me. It just says, let me read it again. If, like Destiny, you're okay with left-wing brigands laying siege to courthouses. Brigands. Oh my God. I haven't seen that word used outside of, like, I don't know, Skyrim or like medieval times. Police departments, etc. You don't get to cry about democracy. You never cared about democracy. hyper-moral hypocrisy. Now, you can be...
Occurred.
To be clear, I wasn't in favor of burning down courthouses.
Velazari has donated $50. Biolabs funding.
Hey, Biolabs funding. I appreciate the Biolabs funding. My Biolabs feel very funded now. Before they didn't, now they feel truly funded. I've never been biolabbing harder than I've been biolabbing now. We're gonna test all of the Russian DNA. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That money, well, if I have gas money, that'll go towards probably housing money, probably to house us while we're out there, you know, pay for our stay, stuff like that. Thank you, look at that. We got gas money covered. We got a lot of the house money covered. Now I think all that's left is the embed fees and food, honestly. Thank you. Let's see, oh God, I'm biolabbing. Ooh, biolabbing right now. Okay, what was I saying? Oh yes, about the hypocrisy. Yeah, I don't think you should burn down courthouses. I think that's bad. But I also will say, you can point out like, wow, you were okay with this violence, but now you're not okay with like January 6th. You can point out that hypocrisy all you want every day of the week. There is still a recognizable threat towards somebody saying, suspend the US Constitution, make me president. A recognizable threat to saying, I don't care who really won, I'm going to make this fake slate of electors to replace the real slate of electors. No matter your position on protesting. You can keep that, or protesting, or protest running violent or rioting. You can stand against that, and you can also obviously stand against that. It's very, 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 very easy to do it. In fact, most people do. But also, like, even if somebody isn't against it, let's say somebody's literally in favor of it, you could still use the justification of, you know what, rioting at a courthouse is a little different than taking over the entire American government in one of its most powerful offices in the land undemocratically. Like, you could even say that they're wrong for holding that position, but like the seriousness of being willing to throw out the election results cannot be understated. But thank you for the $10. And I also don't believe you should burn down courthouses. Shocking, I know.
Law enforcement nearby, they were saying, you know, this is what these crazies are saying. You need to do something. Why aren't you doing anything? I saw windows.
How did they get into the building?
Well, from video footage, it shows them just walking in as.
Hold on, excuse me. Do you think that the?
Oh, why am I dropping frames now? Oh, I reconnected. I'm back. Help, help, help. I'm being targeted. I'm being targeted. Mayday, Alpha Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Code kill switch, kill switch, kill switch. Release all the files. Let everybody knows. Let everybody know the truth. Oh wait, I'm still back. I'm back. Unactivate the kill switches. Unactivate the kill switches. Thank you for the $5. Sorry, I when power's out for this long, I think the internet service providers start to geek out a little bit. I'll do my best, boys. I'm doing my best, trying to get to the end of this stream off of generators. Thank you for the $5. Let me read your thing again. You don't get to choose when you're a traitor to democracy and not. You don't get to be arbitrary in holding people accountable. Yeah, you should hold people consistently accountable. And I think if you hold people consistently accountable, then it's going to be easier to hold people like Trump or your political enemies accountable when they fuck up as well and they do anti-democratic things, or if they plan and it's not a fuck up and they actively try to do it on purpose. I think you should hold people equally accountable. But I also think these are two very different issues. Like the people who rioted and burnt down that police station do not have the same institutional power as the president of the United States. They weren't voted for. They picked up rocks and flammable objects and threw it at a courthouse without the community's vote. The president of the United States has access to the nuclear codes. So I do think that there's like a difference here. I do think that there's a difference in the issue. You can be against both, but I also think that they're starkly different issues that require different solutions. Both of their contribution to divisiveness in American politics, you can point that out maybe, but they're very different problems. Okay, sorry for all the drop frames, guys. I can't control it. Chat, I can't control. I'm sorry. The frames just hate me. Let's continue with this. I hope I answered your questions, your $10 and $5 questions. How convenient for you? It's convenient that it's different trying to
Burns
make a
is
fake
an
slate of electors versus
morally
burning down a
corrupt,
police station.
bankrupt man.
I mean, I can be against both burning down a police station and be against the overturning of our democratic election results, and also acknowledge them as different problems. Like, I think that a lack of speed bumps is a very different problem than, I don't know, lead poisoning in the local water supply. Calling them distinct issues, I don't think is convenience. It's just calling a horse, calling a duck. Anyway, I hope I answered your question. I tried to engage, I promise. Hey, Noepoo, thank you for the primer. Gifted me a Prime sub in Twitch chat. If you have an Amazon account and you connect it, an Amazon Prime account, and connect it to Twitch, you get a free Prime sub, which Noepoo just gifted in Twitch chat. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Steven Crowder, The Daily Wire, Tucker Carlson. Have you watched any original reporting on this whatsoever, or have you literally exclusively watched whatever conservative shit down your throat?
No. Okay.
So then let me.
I will say the Tucker Carlson documentary on J6 is so bad and so misinformative. I actually felt bad for the people who watched it, where they brought like CIA agents or like former agents who came out and said, "Could this have been a deep state operation?" And they were like, "I don't know, maybe." And then it's like, now that we've proven that it was all like fake government actors. It's like, okay, come on, buddy. Just Tucker Carlson documentaries are just like wild conclusion on top of wild conclusion. It's like a History Channel documentary about where the pyramids came from.
Ask, hold on, real clearly. Real clearly. How did the first people get into the Capitol building?
Can I respond?
Sure.
Would you consider CNN original content, or like?
I'm just curious if you watched any non-right-wing, like any actual reporting on it, not like a pundit.
Do you consider CNN
CNN is a news network. There are pundits that are on CNN, just like Fox News is a news network, and there are pundits that are on Fox News. There's reporting, which is when people do reports. Usually there are cameras involved, and then there are pundits. So people like Tucker Carlson or Anderson Cooper would be a pundit.
Yes, I understand what you mean. Okay, I was just trying to clarify. So you're telling me that there's video that exists of people.
Oh. There we go. Random loading. I'm looking and I'm just checked. Destiny was actually suspended for hate speech from Kick. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone ever suspended from Kick, period.
Like any actual,
let alone for hate speech. God, imagine how much you need to piss people off to get banned on Kick for hate speech. Jeez, my goodness.
Reporting on it, not like a pundit.
Do you consider CNN
CNN is a news network. There are pundits that are on CNN, just like Fox News is a news network, and they're
banned off of Twitch for pissing off the left, banned off of Kick for pissing off the right. My goodness. He's the lone wanderer, man. Bridge burner maximum dial 110%.
There are pundits that are on Fox News. There's reporting, which is when people do reports. Usually there are cameras involved, and then there are pundits. So people like Tucker Carlson or Anderson Cooper would be.
Democrat DOS, mayors and governors gave their soldiers free rein to raise communities. Your concept of justice is self-and-serving. By winking face.
By winking face.
A curd is a curd.
Ghost of Nestor Machno has donated $5. Smoky 420 getting cooked in chat. Love that you have a politically broad audience, including the politically illiterate.
You know what? I'll just let those play back to back, no response. Okay? I just let those play back to back, no response. Thank you for the $5 for both of you. I don't know how I can say burning down police precinct bad, and it's also convenient for me, and hypocrisy and et cetera, et cetera. I don't really understand that, but sure, yeah, whatever. I'm the devil, you know. I'm very bad. Your concept of justice is self-serving. I don't even know what that means. I didn't even describe my concept of justice. Anyway, continuing.
A pundit.
Yes, I understand what you mean. Okay,
we love a diversity of brain rot in the chat, folks, don't we, folks?
Senator Anderson Cooper would be a pundit.
Yes, I understand what you mean. Okay, I was just trying to clarify. So you're telling me that there's video that exists of people violently approaching the building and breaking their way in? Is that what you're saying?
You can't honestly be seriously asking me that question. Are you not aware that it is uncontested that the first people that went into the building broke in? Are you telling me right now that you don't believe
they broke in through the windows? And then after the windows were smashed and the people were already pouring in, then the guards gave up and started letting them pass through the doors because they didn't feel like they could hold them back and they thought they might get cornered and hurt. So it'd be easier to just let them through and try to guide them through the halls, which is what they proceeded to do.
that to be the case?
Well, I'm just asking you if there's footage of it that exists.
There is plenty of footage, yes. And now I'm asking you, are you under the impression that the first people that got into the Capitol building...
And it wasn't just that they broke the windows. They broke down multiple barricades, beat up like hundreds of cops, and then smashed the windows to get in after climbing up scaffolding.
That they walked in.
From what I've seen, there was security guards standing. People were walking in, and I even recall... I hope this is accurate. I even recall some saying, I don't agree with this, but he was just letting them walk in. So, yeah, that's what I saw. And I
mean, let them walk in after they broke through multiple police lines, injured hundreds of cops, some with permanent like damage, like they lose fingers and stuff, things they just can't like just get back. And then break through the windows, and then they're let in. There's so much that's left out there, so much. It's like burglar breaks into home, holds you at gunpoint. Homeowner opens door to safe. You open the door to the safe, dog. Well, yeah, when there was no options left.
The only violence that I saw that was happening, like broken windows or the guy shouting there, standing, I think his name was Ray Epps. I think he was standing and shouting, saying, we need to go into the Capitol. And people around him were appalled at what he was saying.
Nope, you're not true. That's not true. You're lying and you didn't see that, okay? You saw that the night before. No, because I'm sorry. I watched all of these videos with Ray Epps. It's one of the favorite of you conservatards, okay, to try to blame everything on him. Jesus. All right?
Well,
which is also...
insult, like,
no, there is. You need to be. You needed to be bullied so much more in life, okay? Jesus fucking Christ, okay? The video...
I will say, it is kind of crazy how bold she was to talk about this again in front of such a wide audience. If she was just like facilitating conversation, that'd be one thing. But she's giving her opinions. And she gave an opinion, said he didn't engage in insurrection. If she would have said, like, I don't know anything about it, but I haven't been convinced, that'd be one thing. But she gave an opinion and then tried to say later, well, I'm not an expert on insurrection, so I can't really give it an opinion. Man, it's just been digging. And this is like this is really putting Destiny off to a good start here. They really started with their weakest. I don't want to say this is the weakest link, but...
videos of Ray Epps calling I know enough.
It feels like she just read like the title headlines on like, or just seen the tweets in the social media feed, just saw the very like brief like paragraphs from articles snipped out and posted on social media, because she doesn't seem to have much depth of knowledge to this topic at all. Even when she brings up stuff exclusively, Destiny do like the slightest digging and then they're lost. Either reading the headlines of articles or just like getting this type of information from like the social media feed, just scrolling.
Enough about you. I know enough about you to know that your opinion is worthless and that you are one of the strongest arguments for why there should be an IQ limit to actually get onto social media and post opinions about politics.
Yeah. Is that how free speech works, Destiny?
No, unfortunately, I guess not.
Like, are you for free speech?
Generally. Good thing we're on a social media platform that's privately owned right now, so freedom of speech isn't really a topic for discussion here. What do you think free speech means in the United States?
Destiny would be suspended less than 1 or 2 hours later from Twitter.com.
By the way, do you think that means that corporations have to host every single thing that's said on them?
Well, I view the space that we're currently on, Twitter, as the town digital square, so I believe free speech should apply on this platform, because no one stands in the town square anymore. It's kind of an outdated concept. So
okay, and if I declare your basement the town square, can me and my friends go hang out there and like have some drinks? Why would I care what your individual determination is for some particular space online? You realize that it's totally irrelevant to anything that exists in law or the Constitution, right?
Okay, so
he doesn't need to be smug in every sentence. You do realize he doesn't need to be smug in every sentence.
How do you see free speech then? So you see that this platform is...
I have absolutely no desire. I have no desire to discuss this topic with you. Maybe for another time. But
okay.
You're unaware then, because I can start linking you like video, like for all the violent videos that you saw of people that were.
Dima23 has donated $10.
Hey.
Dylan, I am Ukrainian American who changed my whole American political position when the invasion happened, and I don't get it how conservatives get Ukraine war so wrong, especially.
Thank you so much for the $10, and happy for you to be vaguely on the same side that I'm on politically. Woohoo! Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. And I mean, how did they get it wrong? Well, I think one thing is they don't trust good sources. Republicans have been polled, and 79% of Republicans, when polled, say that their number one trusted, like when polled, the source that has the most trust from Republicans on Ukraine is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump does not know much about the war in Ukraine. Even from the last debate, when he was saying like the real numbers is 3 times as high for the death toll, he's just throwing out that out there for dramatic effect. And so he's not a great source. I think it was like less than 40% trusted on the ground sources from the war. And so in my experience in talking with American conservatives, they don't really know much of the perspective from Ukrainians or much about domestic Ukrainian politics. Like all of the stories of corruption you hear spread around on social media, which is also social media disinformation, I think is a big contributor. Like when Vivek Ramaswamy was saying that aid to Ukraine was being taken up and sent to the cartels, like that was just complete nonsense. But there's real corruption stories in Ukraine. You can talk about the Kiev Hostile Military Administration. You can talk about the military jacket scandal. You can talk about the scandals around those who are dodging the draft and paying to get out of it, or paying for information so they could flee the country. Like there is real corruption in Ukraine that you can point out. You can talk about how contract corruption works, how people award their friends contracts, which is also how I think the Trump circle likes to engage in some corruption. But putting that to the side, that isn't what gets discussed in conservative circles. If they were intelligently against Ukraine aid, these types of topics would be discussed much more. Real stories that make Zelensky's administration look bad, like the cameras put into the rooms of journalists having a party and smoking some dope, doing a little bit of drugs, and getting spread around by pro-Zelensky Telegram accounts associated with the Zelensky administration. Like there's real scandals you can point to, but they don't get pointed to because a lot of these arguments are either downstream from the Russians, so it's like repackaged Russian talking points. That's what you get from Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what you're going to get from Tucker Carlson. So a lot of it's just like straight up disinformation that just gets regurgitated on social media. It's hyperbolic. They don't recheck it. It confirms their biases, so they want to throw it out there. Some of it's isolationism, and isolationism that's kind of bubbled up to the surface most aggressively with the war in Ukraine. Even though like a lot of the isolationism it's spilling over from, like for example, the war in Iraq and the war of Afghanistan is very different circumstances. It's why you'll see a lot of like forcing of the Afghanistan forever war comparison to the war in Ukraine, even though they don't really have much association. It's just a popular political comparison. And so it's a bunch of factors. It's hard to pinpoint them all, but there's a bunch of factors that's leading conservatives to have voted against Ukraine aid. It's also, I would also say it probably doesn't help that it got politicized so quickly on social media by the usual talking heads. It got politicized between the parties. If it would have stayed bipartisan, and Trump would have made effort to keep it bipartisan, it would have stayed bipartisan, like Israel aid is right now. But Trump made that effort for Israel aid. He did not want to make that effort for Ukraine aid, and made no effort to help Ukraine aid pass.
Or breaking in, or of people that were fighting cops or whatever. Where do you think that came from? Do you think it was like just lifted from Baltimore and they said it was the Capitol building, or?
Like there was a crowd of people in front of the White House. So what do you mean like lifted from Baltimore? I don't understand what you mean.
For the people that were breaking in, how do you think, why were they breaking in?
I saw windows being broken. And I saw people saying, "What are you doing?" And then I saw law enforcement being around and not doing anything about it. And I presume the law enforcement that's there on the grounds of this official building should have done something about it, but they didn't, and that was confusing.
A curd is a curd.
And so, and the majority of the people were there,
Funny
as you
watching
said.
the champions of democracy support undemocratic inflation to fund their central planning.
True. But it's not only that. It's also funny to see the biggest champions of wait, 1 second. I just got a message from somebody about the embed. I get distracted very easily. I forget sometimes how much my ADHD actually affects me like a squirrel. Thank you. I will say that it is true that inflationary, seeing people support actions that will hyperly increase inflation. For example, like the recent tariffs declaration from the conservatives. That really confuses me, because one of the main attacks I've seen towards Biden is the inflation that came from the spending early on in his presidency to get us out of the COVID slump. And I will defend it. I'll defend the spending as necessary. I'll defend it as necessary for the economy. But when somebody makes that argument and then says we should follow it up with a 10% tariff on goods being imported into the United States, I just don't take it seriously. I treat it as nothing more than partisan politics. Not to mention, I will say that the United States did perform better than all other G7 countries when it comes to post-COVID recovery. Economic recovery, comes to inflation, when it comes to jobs, I mean, we're just performing better. That doesn't mean we're performing as good as we can. That doesn't mean that this is the highest of our aspirations. But it does mean that relative to our comparable countries, we are performing better.
Protesting under allegedly Trump directing him there to go and protest and be violent and whatever it is that you said. I think they were opposing the actions that were happening.
Why do you think the cops
Pardon?
didn't stop them?
I don't know. Why wouldn't they stop them?
Because there weren't enough of them, because nobody knew that Donald Trump was going to invite and send his whole crowd of insurrectionists to the Capitol building to try to delay the certification of the vote.
Oh, by the way, I've already told the Federal Reserve your address, and I've sent them the coordinates to your home. They'll be coming to take you up to the Federal Reserve Gulag very momentarily. Anyway, continuing.
Well, why wasn't there enough? If people thought that he was so bad, why wouldn't they bring reinforcements?
It's not really relevant to the question.
Why not?
Because it's not relevant. It doesn't contradict any of the underlying facts.
For example, people like Pelosi and all.
No,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
Democrats.
Excuse me. No, Pelosi has nothing to do with this. If your strongest counter argument is, well, maybe Pelosi should have called for more guards to fight against Trump's insurrectionists. I mean, what the kind of argument are you even making there?
I don't think he called for insurrectionists again, but if what was
he calling people? What were they going to protest?
Can I just finish the thought?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I just finish the thought? So, if these people who were saying Trump is literally Hitler and he's the devil and he needs to be taken out or whatever it is that they said, if that was their belief about him and they kept saying, Hillary said he's an illegitimate president and all these things, wouldn't their first instinct, they said he's a threat to democracy, he's a dictator, he's this, he's not, wouldn't their instinct be to, on the day where they would, they thought that he would do something crazy to, make sure there was enough guards, to make sure there was enough people to stop some of the.
Yeah, when Hillary said that Trump was an illegitimate president, what was she referring to? You don't even know. Do you even know what speech it came from or what she was talking about? Yeah.
She was talking about Trump, and she was saying he knows he's an illegitimate president. That sounds like election denial to me.
Okay, well, it's not. You should go look up the context of some of these speeches rather than just going by the tweets that you see that are shown.
Okay, so help me understand.
No,
so
I don't. Well, wait, no, hold on. What I want to help you understand first is I want you to watch this, and I just want you to talk through with this. I want you to talk me through this, okay? I'd go to 15:30 and tell me what are we watching? What's happening here?
What do you mean? You sent a link? You want me to go open a link?
Yeah. Are you on a computer or a phone right now?
I'm on both.
Okay. I want you to open this up, and we'll just go to 15:30, and I just want to watch a little bit. I just want to watch together. I just want to see. I want you to give me.
Okay, 1 second. Let me read this from the Federal Reserve has increased. Federal Reserve has committed treason, says this guy donated $5 earlier. Inflation is the act of increasing the money supply and economy in the free fall. Just go look at the bond market. Is that your thing? Did you just donate $5 earlier just to rail against the Federal Reserve? Is that your thing? Is that what you're here to do? Because at first I thought it was like, oh, Federal Reserve has committed treason. I'm sure he's talking about inflationary. Oh, wait, no, he just doesn't like the Federal Reserve. So is that why you donated $5? Well, let me just tell you, we're not talking about the Federal Reserve today, but you have fun talking about the Federal Reserve in chat because people who this is their issue, they love to talk about it.
Your take on what's actually happening in this video.
Which link is it? There's 3 links here.
The last one I sent you. You can read the other first two in your own time, or not. You probably won't. It doesn't matter.
Okay, it says, okay. It's 40 minutes long.
Yep, go to 15 minutes and 30 seconds. We just have to watch a minute or two.
Now the protesters all along the east barricades surge forward.
Let me know when you're there, and then we'll start it at the same time.
Okay, I'm watching it.
Oh, wait, what time are you at?
15:25.
Okay, wait, we can start at the same time, okay? Ready? 3,
Sure.
2, 1, go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so people are marching with flags.
Yep. Just curious, what do you think they're going here to protest?
The results they believe that was stolen from them.
Ah, so they're going here to protest the election. Okay.
Is protesting illegal?
I didn't say, did I say that this was illegal? No. I said that this is overall as part of an insurrection. Why is this guy kicking?
No, earlier,
why is this guy kicking?
You said...
Stop, don't divert. Hold on. Don't divert. Protesting in and of itself is obviously not illegal. I'm asking you what these people are going here to protest for. I'm just curious if you have an idea. Hold on, wait, I paused. Go back to 15:56. Why is he breaking that window open when the cops are supposed to be opening it for them? At 15:53, you have an idea?
Well, like I said, I watched them break windows, and I watched other people telling them not to do this.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, at what time are you at right now?
15:54.
Okay. Well, we'll start again in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, there's the door. Oh, they broke that one too.
My God, I don't know what's with the stuttering in the feed, in the video feed. I'm trying not to make, I don't know what's going on with it. I'm just going to close all my other tabs and do something else. I don't think it will, but we'll see.
Ew, that's crazy. Where are the cops here that are letting them into the building? Do you know where they're at this point?
Yeah, where are they? Why is there not enough?
It's a good question.
Like if
that doesn't matter though. That's not relevant. The question right now is what's happening outside.
None of this is like, oh, why isn't there enough cops? That's not relative to whether Trump did an insurrection or not. It's not relative at all. It's not even close to relative. I mean, relevant. Not relevant at all. Like he could, if it was 1 cop or 1,000,000 cops, it could still be an insurrection. And him not acting on the day of January 6th would still be incredibly suspicious. In fact, you could make the argument like Trump could see a few cops trying to fight against the horde and he's just sat there and does nothing is even worse than if there was a lot more cops and it got so bad that they got overtaken, because you could say, oh, well, he thought the situation was under control. It was very clear for hours the situation wasn't under control and he did nothing.
They getting into the building before you told me if you want to change the claim to there weren't enough officers there, we can have that conversation. But you said earlier that you'd seen.
I'm not changing the claim. I clearly stated there was not enough officers, and
cool. I agree.
There wasn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. So we don't disagree there.
Okay. Why? But yeah. So then, did the people break into the Capitol building then, or were they let in?
In some of this footage, a few individuals are breaking a window and
we'll keep watching.
Pushing down a barricade.
Okay, we'll keep watching. Yeah. I'm at 16:53 now. Seems like they're trying to push some cops back. No, yeah, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we've got, okay.
There were hundreds of cops injured.
So do the cops look like they're leading them in here? Would you have that impression
No,
as you're
here
watching
they
it?
don't.
Oh,
No,
okay,
they
gotcha.
Don't, they
okay.
don't look like they're leading him here at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Like I can acknowledge when I haven't seen some footage before. I'm not like I said.
Has
I'm not
she really
ideologically
never
possessed
seen
to
this
say
footage?
to excuse anything and everything.
No
like,
way.
I
The
can
fact
admit,
that you haven't seen this means that you are so ideologically brainwashed. You're like in another dimension.
I
Yes,
don't think
yes,
so.
you absolutely
This
are. I'm
footage is
sorry.
so
Do
famous.
these cops here, the guy with the baton that's hitting the people, do you think that he's letting them in peacefully?
oh, clearly not. There's,
Okay. Just making
Clearly
sure.
not.
Okay. The gates
Okay.
here that are being pushed over, was that by the order of the cops? Oh, you see the cops walking back now. Do you think that they're letting them in peacefully now? Now are the cops leading them in? Or do you think they're retreating from position because there are 50,000 savages that are in front of them that have all been riled up from Donald Trump and marched like a mile away to come to the Capitol building to protest the election results? Or were they just letting them in? Do you have any idea?
Okay, so some of them were let in. Some of them approached without being held back by the law enforcement.
Okay, well now we're coming to the building. Okay. Is this guy banging on the window, the one that broke it there? Are these guys being let in right now? That guy? Doesn't look like it. Hold on. Oh. Now when that guy jumps in and the cop is spraying, what is that, silly putty? I guess it must be at him or whatever because they're playing games here. Are there already people being let into the building at some other spot at this point? Or are the first people in the building the ones that broke in?
There's a few people that broke in. Yes.
The first ones that got in broke in.
Anyway,
correct?
So just to get back.
No, wait. First, I want to hear you say the first people that got into here broke in. Correct?
The first few people, it looks like some of them were pushing their way in.
And no. What do you call it when you push through a material and you break it? That's called a break-in. They broke in, right?
So I just have a quick question for you.
Just answer it.
Like you seem extremely angry about all of.
You got to the conclusion. You walked all the way, got the horse all the way to the lake. Just drink the water.
For you, like you seem extremely angry about all of this.
Yes,
and
I am.
You're fighting with a lot of people on Twitter.
Yep.
You're insulting people on Twitter.
I am.
Do you think that any of what's been said by the people in the last 4 years, like I said, demonizing Trump, calling him, like literally Hitler, and celebrating, the people celebrating the attempt on his life, do you think that contributes to what was happening in 2020?
What?
No. Maybe a little. Maybe 1%.
Why not?
Here's the issue you have is because your problem is you're saying too many people are demonizing Trump. Have you ever stopped to think, well, maybe he's acting like a demon? People are treating Trump like he's a dictator. Have you ever thought that maybe he's actually acting like a dictator? The fact that you're not familiar with anything that happened you don't know any of the evidence. You don't know the entire Jack Smith indictment. You didn't even know that the first people that got into the Capitol building broke in. Why would I care what you know?
I mean, like, it's hard for her to have that last 25 minutes of conversation and try to build any argument from there. Like, don't you think people are like being too mean to Trump? It could just be that Trump is correctly being called out, but that the escalation ladder that Trump contributed more than any other individual political figure to has reached a point that is dangerous for the whole country, including him. And when some people call him Hitler, some people might take that into consideration and they might go out and act. But just because we want to avoid that scenario, which would be bad for the whole country, does not mean we temper our rhetoric when talking about the truth about the threat that Donald Trump posed and wants to continue to pose to democratic institutions. If you do, then you're being dishonest about the choice that people have in November.
Clearly know nothing about any of this, yet you seem to have a strong opinion about it.
I don't think that's correct. I think I know some things. I wasn't following
and plus, like, we don't even know the motives of the shooter. So how can we pin any individual like stochastic possible terrorism resulting from fiery Biden speeches if we don't even know what actually motivated the person who is a registered Republican, who was described as conservative from his friends, but is also on one occasion did donate to a progressive org. So it's at best he's politically ambiguous.
said it wasn't following it 24/7 without sleeping or reading full indictments, but it's
or reading any part of an indictment, right? Can you be honest about that? You haven't read a single sentence in any of the 4 indictments that Donald Trump is facing in the United States, right? Well, I guess it's only 3 now because 1 case is done. Hopefully it gets tossed. Thank God for the Supreme Court. But can you admit that you haven't read a single word of any of those indictments?
No, before that, can you?
No. I need to hear you. I need to hear you say that first, so that we're on the same page, and then I'll answer whatever question you want. You haven't read a single sentence from any of those indictments.
You interrupted me when I was trying to talk to you about him being a dictator. You say he's a dictator. He's acting like a dictator.
Yeah.
Did he not relinquish his, his loss?
No, he's never relinquished it. Like, he still doesn't accept it. He still says it was stolen. He never gave it up. He was out of office. Joe Biden was already inaugurated, and he was still calling for the suspension of the U.S. Constitution so he could be reinstalled as rightful president.
A failed.
Imagine that, a Republican president calling for the suspension of the holy document, the U.S. Constitution, with barely any backlash. It's bizarre, the cult that has developed around that man.
After a failed insurrection. So no, he didn't relinquish it. He lost his insurrection attempt. And then he walked away mad.
Even though he said, be peaceful, we're not violent, and all those things, you still believe that you assess for that to be part of him inciting an insurrection, yeah?
Yeah. And he also didn't participate in the normal passing of the reins as previous administrations had done. I mean, like he wasn't there when Biden was inaugurated. He avoided. He wasn't there. He didn't respect the transfer of power.
You still believe that you assess for that to be part of him inciting an insurrection, yeah?
Yeah, of course, because I have a brain. And somebody saying in 1 sentence, walk peacefully, doesn't magically nullify the entire hour-long speech where he's telling people you have to fight like hell or you're going to lose your country, or that we have to pressure Congress to do the right thing and count the legally slated electors. So hold on, I just want to be really clear, because in any other circumstance you would understand this, but obviously your brain is subject to the political cancer that has manifested there for at least the last 4 years, right? No, a single sentence in a 1-hour speech does not nullify the entirety of the speech, because guess what? If I look at what happened right after the speech, do you think it's a coincidence that people went there marching, chanting 1776 on the day that the election was going to be certified, and then they broke into the building and they delayed the certification of the election? Was all of that just a coincidence?
So you think the words fight like hell is problematic, but you don't see other words as problematic when they say...
Kat, I'm so sorry.
For example,
I don't evaluate this like a 4-year-old. I'm not looking at 1 sentence or 1 word, because I know what you want to say. Well, when they said fight like hell, what about when Nancy Pelosi says we need to fight? And what about what? No, it's not the same. What I'm saying is that taken as a whole, Donald Trump called people here on January 6th to do this speech while they were certifying the vote. He riled them up. He tried to rig the election.
It was called the Stop the Steal rally. The point of it was to stop the metaphorical steal, which was the certification of the vote. That's why he wanted them to march to the Capitol. He told them to protest it. He wanted to pressure on the government. And then when it got out of control, he did not act to stop it. Now, he did not directly call for violence, but he did create the environment by lying to the people about the election being stolen. And if you tell people that you're not going to have a country anymore if the election is stolen, then tell them the election has been stolen, then call Joe Biden a dirty communist, who's going to do this, he's going to do that, and then you send them to the Capitol, and then they become violent. It's not like, you cannot disentangle Trump's responsibility in this, especially when he had the authority to act, and he sat on his ass and continued to fan the flames during the first hours, until eventually reversing after being pressured by his family and everyone around him to stop it, and then telling people to go home. And guess what? After he told them to go home, you know what they did? They went home. I was there on the ground when it happened. I remember people turning around and saying, everybody go home. Trump has said go home. You can't remove his responsibility from this.
And then he sent them to the Capitol building to protest, where they broke in, where they delayed the certification of the election, which was his goal. And then he made calls.
An impassioned speech for his country is them riling his base up.
What were they going there to protest? What were they going there to protest?
Pardon?
What were they going there to protest?
They were going to protest because they thought the election was stolen from them unlawfully.
That's an insurrection.
No, it isn't.
What do you think it means if you go to protest because you think an election was stolen?
Well, Hillary thought it was stolen.
Hillary gave up that night. Hillary gave up that night. How many court cases did Hillary launch to challenge the election results? Can you tell me? How many court cases was it?
How many powerful people wanted her, wanted her kept out of power?
How many court cases did Hillary Clinton launch to challenge the election results?
Did she have an entire barrage of media and elected officials demonizing her and doing the same thing that they're doing to Trump, trying to prevent her from being elected? Did that happen to Hillary?
How many court cases did Hillary Clinton launch challenging the results of the election?
By the way, there is a ton of demonization of Hillary Clinton. What do you mean? Benghazi hoax? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Election.
But did she have such a forceful barrage of, like I said, media, elected officials, and including their base, just vehemently opposing, calling her Hitler, calling her the devil, saying all these things?
Yes, the Republicans had been doing it for years. Yes. What do you think the email scandal was about? What do you think the Benghazi hearings were about? By the way, hearings that Hillary Clinton sat through, gave testimony for like 12 hours, and an investigation that she fully cooperated with. Not like the insurrectionist, traitorous president that you support, who invoked executive privilege at every single opportunity, who pled the fifth at every single opportunity, and who has now been granted absolute criminal immunity for some of his actions, so that he never has to answer for any of the things that he's done. So to go back one more time, I answered your question.
Oh, 1 second. We dropped some frames. You know what? I think I opened Discord and that's what did it. Maybe it's I can't open Discord on this computer without it going crazy. I don't know.
Go back one more time. How many lawsuits did Hillary Clinton file challenging the result of the election?
I don't know. Did she file any?
Not a single one.
Okay. So
when did Hillary when did Hillary concede the election? It was within 1 day. Do you agree with that?
I wasn't following closely then, so I don't know.
It was. It was within a day.
She called him an illegitimate president.
That's great. I know. Yeah, I know you got those good talking points in. I like how that, by the way, I like how that one sentence, that's enough for you there. But one sentence from Trump saying, fight like hell, and then afterwards is people going, fight like hell. That doesn't mean anything to you. That's very funny to me.
Fight like hell doesn't necessarily mean go and try to assassinate a VP or break windows or anything like that.
Then why is it? Wait. Let's say I agree with what you just said. Okay, sure. Why is it
this conversation was over 10 minutes ago? I'm gonna be honest. This conversation was over 10 minutes ago. This is like watching him kick a puppy now. Can we move on to the next person? We'll listen like 3 more seconds. We'll move on to the next person because I don't want to watch this all night. I've been streaming for almost 6 hours now. That's a lot.
And then when that started to happen, and when staffer after staffer went in begging Trump, hey, can you call off your sycophantic savage fuck fans? Can you please do that? Donald Trump sat there drinking a Diet Coke while Ashley Babbitt got shot in the face in the basement of the Capitol building dying. Can you tell me why Donald Trump didn't stop them if they weren't doing exactly what he wanted to do? Why did Donald Trump and his crooked lawyer, Giuliani, make phone calls to lawmakers inside of Congress telling them, hey, maybe you should delay the vote. Maybe you should push it back a few days. Why did he do that if that wasn't exactly what he wanted his protesters to do?
How do you know?
I'm going to re-ask the same, just so you know, the conversation is over right here until you answer that question or give me an alternative thing. I'm not answering another. I'm not playing this game. You have to tell me what was the point because it seems incredibly obvious. Donald Trump gave a speech. They went to the Capitol. They broke in. They delayed the certification of the vote, which is what Donald Trump apparently wanted them to do. And for hours while they protested, breaking windows, breaking.
This is really good from Destiny. This is good pressure, man. This is good pressure.
Doors, breaking on inside, he sat and he watched, and the only phone calls that he made while people were begging him to tweet to stop the violence were to try to pressure lawmakers to delay the vote.
You can do all of this and be this aggressive without making fun of the dude who got domed in the audience, by the way. Just saying, probably more convincing argument.
Tell me why he did that. Why did he wait for hours? Give me one possible explanation that doesn't satisfy my story.
I'm not in his mind. I'm not a mind reader. I can't ascribe motivation to his thoughts that I don't have access to, Destiny.
Oh, that's great. What is your profession? What do you do professionally?
That's not relevant.
Okay, why do you think, do you think that we can't ascertain the state of mind of a person ever? Do you think that's just impossible? Earlier, you said that I was angry. How do you know that? Maybe this is how I always talk when I'm streaming. Why did you assume that I was angry?
I've watched you stream. Like you speak fast, and you obviously come prepared. You have your talking points. So like you.
Hold on. Wait. To be clear, none of these are talking points. If you want, we can spend. I'm streaming until I got 4 hours. So if you want, we can dig as deep, or I can even just link you because I've got whole documents that I've written on this whole scheme and this whole plot. I've read every single indictment from top to bottom. I've read every single criminal statute involved in the indictment from top to bottom, and I've read basically every news article written about these indictments from top to bottom. So no, I don't have just talking points. That's what you have when you say Hillary Clinton said that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. And also I have no idea what happened on January 6th or in the entire lead up to the insurrection for what Donald Trump did.
This is like, he's like throwing this puppy at the wall over and over, and it's just splattering. It's splattering. It looks more like a carpet now than an actual puppy. This is too much.
Okay,
so no, I don't have talking points.
It's an unfair statement to say I have no idea what's going on.
You didn't know anything about the whole scam. Do you know anything about Mike Eastman and the coup memo or what their plot was on January 6th? What do you think Donald Trump was talking about when he said Mike Pence needs to come?
Really obscure. That seems obscure to me.
Oh, well, that's crazy because it was literally part of 2 of the massive indictments that Donald Trump is facing that he's probably going to get away from now because of the criminal immunity he's been granted. Do you think that the Jack Smith indictment is obscure? Do you think that the Georgia RICO case is obscure? Is it obscure unless it shows up in like a Twitter headline or a TikTok video for you?
Oh my God.
I don't use TikTok.
Okay, where the do you get your news from that the most important stuff that's happened in this country related to this election and the current ongoing criminal cases are obscure trivia to you? You know that like the federal government.
Somebody in side chat just Christoph just said he's XP farming. That is what it feels like. He's like he's at the mob grinder in the base just going for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes.
Hosts these indictments for everybody to read, right? They're not like hidden.
I would say that's obscure to a lot of people that aren't terminally online. Like
terminally online? I'm sorry, hold on. You think that knowing what's in a federal indictment for a prior sitting president makes you terminally online?
That was a really bad defense. God, she's so bad. Who is this person? Who knows? Who is this person? Does anybody know who this is? Wasn't she the person who was hosting the Twitter space? How is she the one hosting the Twitter space?
No,
Okay, hold on, wait. Can you admit that what you just said was beyond?
Look, if she was like gonna do like a modern day debates thing or like a WIC thing, and she was gonna host like a debate with other people, Destiny was gonna go head to head with everybody else. But it seems so far she's just kind of standing in his line of fire, just throwing out the worst points possible, as if it was just giving Destiny training to take pot shots, just warming him up for the people to come almost.
No,
Okay, hold on, wait. Can you admit that what you just said was beyond stupid, right? Tell me, it is actually reasonable that maybe I'll let you slide because you're a Canadian retard, okay? But for an American citizen that's voting, maybe, well, you're Canadian and you are retarded. I'm just calling it as I say it, okay?
Regulate.
Can you? It is reasonable that an American. I don't care. I'm so over it. Kat, I don't care. I don't care that you're trying to insult me or not. What you're doing is so much worse. You don't see how evil you are, okay? It is so much worse than calling me names. If you were more informed and then you were calling me names, I'd be fine with it. That's okay. I don't give a fuck. I'm done with the civility bullshit where as long as you're speaking politely, you think that gives you carte blanche to act like the scum of the earth, okay? Can you tell me it is not unreasonable for an American citizen to be familiar with what is in a criminal indictment for a past president? That's not a terminally online thing to know. Can you admit that?
I have to disagree. I think most people don't sit there reading through indictments.
Doesn't mean you're terminally online. That just means you're well informed. What these words mean nothing. Terminally online does not mean well informed. If terminally online just means that you know a lot about a legal case, then like terminally online is like could be a good thing. Terminally online means you're too online. That means you're like too like involved. Like I heard that the Zer debate in the community between the Kinka, like these like certain issues that are not going to be really that big with the American public, but might be bigger on the internet. I think it's part of the reason why David Sachs performed so bad at the RNC is because he's terminally online. A lot of the foreign policy stuff he says is terminally online, misinformed and terminally online. Knowing about a legal case is not terminally online. That's just informed. That's informed. That's being informed about a legal case. That doesn't have to be. If terminally online just means well informed now, then these words mean nothing.
Okay, who do you think should? Maybe the people that are spoon feeding you the news that you consume. Maybe at least they should have to read it. Do you think?
What do you mean people spoon feeding me news? People can consume news however they practice. Like,
sure, but I mean, it's obvious for your news consumption.
Her name is Kat Canada. Her last name is Canada, and she's from Canada, but it's Canada with a K. Very quirky.
You look at a media feed that feeds you headlines, and then you read that, and that's where your opinion is formed from. So the people that are feeding you those headlines, don't you think at least they should have read the indictments?
No, just one second. Just one second. Morally corrupt, I don't need news headlines. I can assess information.
Hey, Cowabunga Andy, thank you for the primer. I appreciate it. As a Fed, I sometimes get jealous of all the CIA support you receive. Here's some continued support from someone in the homeland. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was waiting for the extra down payment. I thought we negotiated the benefits package, but it's good to see that the union negotiated it well. Thank you very much, Cowabunga Andy. I'll see you at the company cook-off later this month.
For myself when I see it.
What is the last piece of original, not digested information that you've read?
Irish Spectator Farmer has donated $5. The ending is funny, by the way.
The ending is funny. This is 2 hours and 49 minutes. We're only 40 minutes in. We're not going to watch the full thing. I don't got the power or energy to watch the full thing. So if there's funny moments, you got to tell me where it is, because we're probably going to skip around a little bit in a second.
No, you deserve to be condescended to.
But thank you for the $5. You deserve to be condescended to.
My country is having a ex-insurrectionist, okay, try to run for president, and you support him. So no, I think it's okay for me to be highly critical of how you get your news, and you don't know anything about it, but you have a strong opinion about it. I don't understand where you people come from. I don't know why you would be so confident that you think it would, like, what do you think I do all day that you're confident enough to come in here knowing absolutely nothing about anything that's happening? They're like, okay, well, I'll go and have a reasonable conversation with this person.
Okay, so I don't think you're having a reasonable conversation with me. I think you're being extremely rude. I've been respectful to you. I've indulged in clicking on a link that you've asked me to look at. I've agreed with some of your points. I disagree on your assessment. I just don't, like, I see you, become extremely dysregulated, and you don't even know me, and you're telling me that, you're telling me all these things about me, that I'm this and I'm that. Like, I don't think that's a productive conversation. I told
you're beyond having a productive conversation. Also, you're not the first. You won't be the last woman to use a psychological term on me. Don't worry. I'm immune to it at this point.
What psychological term?
Dysregulated. The fact that you have no concept, of any of the stuff that's even in the criminal indictments. Do you understand how absolutely infuriating that is? That people don't even know what our president or our ex-president was charged with. They don't even know.
Well,
you don't think that's insane?
Like I told you, there's people who follow this case 24/7.
Hold on, excuse me. No, hold on. You don't get to characterize my position as follow the case 24/7.
You got to characterize mine.
What was I incorrect about?
Well, you were using ad hominem attacks to, discredit my viewpoints. And
I was not using. I discredited your viewpoints by saying how stupid they were, and then I pointed to the fact they probably happened because of your news consumption. I'm sorry. Wait. What point of yours do you think that I didn't discredit on a substantive basis? Just because I'm calling you names doesn't mean I'm engaged in ad hominem. I can both call you names and substantively disagree with the things that you say. Can you give me one thing you said that you feel like I haven't substantively?
Ad hominem is calling someone names and calling them stupid.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am, but an ad hominem is when you dismiss a person's argument by appealing to a personal attack. If I say you're wrong because of XYZ dipshit, that's not an ad hominem. That's just me calling you a name after substantively disagreeing with you.
Okay, that's enough of this woman, okay? I think we got the point. Let's skip forward. I heard Lauren Southern comes in at 9:59 something.
In any meaningful ways. Can we at least bond over a mutual disdain for Pearl Davis? Come on.
Maybe.
Just lighthearted maybe? That's okay, that's progress. I'll take that. I like that.
I just can't watch her get butchered anymore. I just can't watch it. It feels I get the same feeling I get when I watch people fox hunt after tying a fox in a bag and leaving him buried under a rock for 24 hours. It's just not fair. It's just not natural. It's wrong. It's inhumane. I felt like I felt like I was watching like Destiny strangle a baby turtle. And so let's move on to the next one.
Okay, does anyone else want to jump in to say anything or to ask a question? Hey, Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll make a comment. Oh boy. Listening to this, I will say I think there is a serious problem on the right now. Not just the right, politics in general, with people not actually reading the documents, people getting their information from memes. I actually do think it's a little atrocious that from my side of the political spectrum and what I read on my timeline, I don't hear more about the Trump indictments and the actual documents going forward.
Fair point.
I think that's going to be something I'm going to be doing going forward, is actually reading those indictments, because I think it's important for when debates like this happen. And Kat, we can read them together. We'll go over it together, do a little
Sounds
study
good.
session.
I'm in.
But I will also say this disregard of actual research that is pervasive in the political sphere is the same reason I got canceled and called a genocide denier for stating that no bodies existed in the alleged Indigenous mass graves in Canada. I'm sure a lot of people remember that story. None were ever found, but that lie still persists. And, you know, churches burned to the ground.
I still can't believe that hosting that debate between Lance and Lawrence. I thought they'd be prepared. Lance did okay. The other person just dropped the ball completely. But like, if Lance maybe had one more, maybe they could have done better. But God, it was just not great. It was not good at all. I remember at one point, like, I kept throwing the ball over to the other person, just like, okay, pick up some of these pieces, do something, and they just kind of didn't have anything to say. It was honestly kind of hard to watch. No ill will towards Lance, just saying.
In the country,
the other person have no clue what they're doing now.
Havoc, millions and millions of dollars of our tax money spent on this cause, and all because a bunch of people decided to believe memes over doing actual research. And I get being upset about it. Believe me, I was upset about it. I had death threats in my inbox, threats towards my family, my children.
$5. Is it okay to strangle baby turtles if they are baby turtle stranglers?
Well, you know, if you're a baby turtle strangler and you're part of the baby turtle strangling tradition, what am I to attack such a valued piece of Americana? And such a important job producer.
And this is genuinely destroying our countries and democracy, this low information kind of engagement with politics. But I'm also aware that the people who haven't done enough research, haven't done enough reading on these subjects, aren't necessarily evil and shouldn't be discounted entirely, even if they're the ones that are sending me threats. I apologize. I'm in an airport right now.
Okay.
Hopefully you guys can hear me all right.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. So, you know, in some cases, these people are my family, my lifelong friends that I've had that completely disagree with me on these topics, that I think are sometimes ill-informed on these subjects. And I think that they're deserving of respect to some degree, to some level, just because my country has been defrauded by our government into believing mass graves and genocide exists that didn't happen, and I've received threats. You know, that doesn't mean I have to treat every leftist cruelly, nor laugh or mock or celebrate if they are killed, especially when they're innocent and we're just showing up to a rally. And I think there's a much better approach than the one that Stephen has been taking, particularly when, I
think the fact that this guy was tweeting out Putin worship makes it the most hilarious, like, misfire that could have possibly happened.
He deserved to get shot.
I didn't say he deserved to get shot. I'm just saying he doesn't deserve any sympathy for it, okay? And it might warrant a laugh or two.
I mean, I don't know. I think life is a miracle. It is some... I mean, I'm too much of a hippie. I think life is a miracle. It's a tragedy that he died, especially a tragedy for his family. And I mean, I might have political disagreement with someone. I might think that the guy was like, I read the tweets. The guy was not well informed. The guy was terrible on a bunch of issues, whether it has to do with January 6th or it has to do with war in Ukraine or Putin, etc. But you know, at the end of the day, like, he's still a human being, and so I still give him like that basic respect. And I can politically disagree with somebody and still believe that a daughter deserves a father, you know? But if somebody was to ask me what I thought of his beliefs, I would say that they were absolutely stupid from top to bottom. Because, I mean, that's just the truth.
I think you'll find that people care a lot more what you have to say when you acknowledge that.
Hey, Pizza Detective, thank you for the $50 donation to YouTube. After we've been remonetized, we're getting donos again back on YouTube. We're able to finally take donos again, and you're pouring in a nice $50 bill. I appreciate that. You could have given that to anyone in the world. Let me read the message you left. It was a turtle. It was some ramen and pizza. I assume you're putting this together like a hieroglyph, and I'm trying to decode your political message. But I like turtles, and I like pizza, and I like ramen. So whatever you're about, I'm about. I'm pro this movement that you're starting in chat. Thank you so much for the $50.
A curd.
Turtles are one of my favorite animals, actually.
Turtle ramen pizza.
Turtle ramen pizza. Thank you for $50. And that money will be going towards paying the fixer for the embed this coming weekend. So I'm trying to say more where the money is going towards so people know.
That there might be human, that they have some integrity, that you can kind of show a little bit of respect. I mean, you've got family members that would agree with this guy. I don't think you laugh at them being shot.
My mom and dad taught me around and find out as like a first principle of how to navigate the world. So if they ended up going to a rally like this, cheering for a insurrectionist dude or whatever, yeah, they deserve it 50 times over. They served in the Air Force. They know better. They took an oath to the Constitution to serve this country, not to serve a fucking king. Why the I don't know why you guys asked me this question. Like, what if it happened to your parents? Yeah, if they went to a crazy rally like this and something happened to them, it would be sad. I'd probably personally sad, but what the f am I going to say? Like, what do you expect to happen?
Wait, you think attending a political rally is a fuck around and find out scenario?
I think that supporting a prior president that engaged in insurrection. Yeah, I'm tired of pretending like that's just like a normal, ordinary thing that you're supposed to accept as an American citizen. That's unhinged. That is insane to me.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you honestly think that?
But I mean, maybe like when I see people who are caught in QAnon and are like on the message boards, and like I'll read their messages and they're like, my wife doesn't get me, my wife left me, my kids left me, but you guys get me, you guys are with me, and they've given up their whole life for this online stuff. Like I can like it's funny. There's aspects about that are funny. There's aspects about like him saying like, oh, all the illegals should be sent to Ukraine to die over there if they want to die for freedom. Like there's like things that he said that are disgusting, easy to mock, easy to make fun of. And I mean, you can like go after that and still also like be clearly condemning like this person getting killed at a rally for the demonstrably negative effect it has on political atmosphere and the normalization of that type of, like, for example, like somebody, I don't think that somebody joking about Ashley Babbitt is necessarily like the worst thing in the world, but you can still acknowledge like Ashley Babbitt's death is terrible. And even like Ashley Babbitt's death, like this guy was just standing at a rally. She was actually like crossing barriers, disobeying police orders. This guy was just like hit randomly while with his family. You can, again, his views are disgusting. His views can even be mocked, but like he obviously did not deserve to die, and it's a tragedy for his family.
People, despite like, yes, I have seen the tweets mentioning the word king. Do you think people want him as king for real?
Yes.
You don't think that you do?
Yep.
Like what causes you to make that conclusion? Except
show me a single conservative commentator that had anything critical to say about the criminal immunity case. Show me one that even read half of it, actually. But show me one. Find me one, and maybe I'll believe you. Maybe.
No. Just one sec. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about your belief that his supporters, the Trump supporters, would literally make him king if they could.
Yes.
Like, out of all the people that you could unload these critiques on, like, I don't understand why it would be the person who died here. Like, you can critique a million Putinists. I don't know why it would be the one who died with his family at a political rally. Like, that's just the way I view it. Like, I could mock I can mock Douglas McGregor. I could mock Scott Ritter, who has a lot of material to go after. There's no reason for me to go after the guy who was a father to kids that don't have I mean, I don't know why I keep focusing on that, but I mean, I guess that's the thing that hurts me the most, or like I would imagine would hurt them the most.
They literally call him Emperor Trump. Yeah, it's all a joke. It's just a meme, LOL.
The people that believe they're fighting for freedom and to preserve the constitutional republic that is the United States, no
one gives a
Hold on a sec. Look, can I just finish? I know you're really skilled. You're really good at it.
No, it's just that you just don't know anything about like Donald Trump literally has tweets on like Truth Social saying he wants to suspend the Constitution, and you're asking me, you don't think the people that are supporting him in the Constitutional Republic they want a king?
Okay, okay. I'll just restart. So, once again, like, so the people that champion when, for example, on issues that are not related to the subject, they say give it back to the states because the states should have the power to say they voted for example, on abortion. Like they say they give it to the states. Is that not them upholding? The constitutional republic and the
No.
Note, by the way, send it back to the states, let the states deal with it. JD Vance, who was Trump's pick for VP, is somebody who wants to ban abortion. Just ban it outright. That was his position, and they're trying to cover it up. They're removing it from his campaign website. They're removing all of his signs of that. But remember, if Trump dies, or he no longer can be president again, and he's 78 years old, so I mean, this is a conversation we have to have if we're being responsible, it would go over to him. Just something to think about.
No, it's because they like the idea of. Let me answer the question without it being like a rambling, like 50 question, okay? And then you ask me the next question you want, okay? No, when they say throw it back, find me a single conservative who is excited about throwing abortion back to the states as they are about supporting the right for sanctuary cities to exist, and then I'll believe you. No, conservatives don't give a about states' rights. Absolutely not. They only support it in this case because they know that it'll mean less abortion than what there were. That it'll mean less abortion rights than there were before. That's the only reason they support it.
Stephen, real quick, man, you said that basically because Donald Trump is an insurrectionist, attending his rally is supporting, a fascist dictator or whatever, and ultimately it's a around and find out scenario. You'd have to then extrapolate that logic to believe that the 70+ million people that voted for him are also guilty of supporting them and therefore a fair game and in a fuck around and find out scenario. So,
by the way, I don't even necessarily think that's true. And I'm just arguing from Destiny's position. What Destiny could say, if I was taking Destiny's position, is not necessarily because last time in 2020, while there was a lot of reasons still to vote against Donald Trump, and Destiny voted against Donald Trump, you have only gotten more information about since the election of how he tried to overturn it. And then after him trying to overturn it, all of the information that's coming out since then, and he's a convicted felon, and all. So just because you voted one way in 2020 does not mean you're going to necessarily even vote the same way in 2024. So not necessarily, like, a lot has happened since then and now. If I was Destiny, this is something he could say.
Am I misreading here? Are you saying that all of these people are open to assassination attempts?
By the way, I think Clint Russell is incredibly uneducated on the issues I've heard him speak on, primarily foreign policy. But I'm also blocked on Twitter, so he can't hear what I have to say anymore because I critiqued him too hard, I guess.
Open to assassination. I'm just saying that if it happens, there should be zero sympathy for anybody involved.
So you believe that
hold on, just to be clear,
half of the country deserves no sympathy. Really?
Yes. When half of the country is supporting an insurrectionist, yes. Democracy only works, and if you're a I don't even know what actually, I don't know what you are. If democracy only works when the people are working to actually, like, protect it. And when half the people in the country are supporting somebody that is undemocratic, then no, I'm not going to sit here and shed tears for people that end up being the victims of their own insane ideology. No, this is stupid. Why would I waste my time? There are way better things to cry over, like how horrible Game of Thrones turned out. I'm not going to sit here and lose sleep over dipshits that are getting offed as they engage in, like, insurrectionist supporting rhetoric. That's crazy.
Just on a personal note, man, I really feel like you've lost your humanity. I'm
I know,
concerned
and that's
for you,
great.
honestly.
And I wish that, and maybe one day, I don't know, maybe if you guys grow up a little bit, maybe you'll know this. Saying the most disgusting, horrible shit that you can in a polite tone of voice is one of the most horrible things that you can do as a human being. And the idea that just because you calmly and politely suggest that a guy that tried to overthrow the republic ought to be president, and that's a respectable opinion because you say it with a low voice, is beyond redemption to me. It's disgusting.
Okay, so
I mean, I can't disagree with that vibe. I can't disagree with that vibe at all.
You think we're disgusting? You think we're a basket of deplorables? Okay.
I agree with the idea that saying ridiculous things about somebody who's done ridiculous things, and then expecting like, oh, if I just say this calmly, then we can have a completely calm discussion and it will not be treated with the outrage that it should be treated with. I do like this vibe more. I do like treating it with the outrage that it deserves. I still don't ever enjoy Destiny's delivery, or of all the people for him to make this point about, he decides it's the victim of the shooting at the Trump rally.
Okay, I have a question that's sort of related. I see that a person named Chase Geyser challenged you to a lawful duel under the Texas Penal Code 22.06. I'm not sure what that means, but then it looks like you blocked him after that. Was there did you not want to discuss that particular subject with him because you think
why would I accept a lawful duel with somebody?
Beyond, well, because I because he seems like he would maybe be more equipped to
What do you mean? It's a duel. He doesn't want to die. I remember when I asked Destiny if he wanted to come to Ukraine, and he said, nah, I'd be the unlucky one that dies. But maybe he's changed his mind since he's been to Israel. I don't know.
Talk about the things that you've read.
But obviously, Ukraine has a lot less air defense than Israel, and the Russian Air Force is a little bit more powerful than the Hamas's Air Force. And their armed forces, just generally.
Yourself, maybe.
If he wants to talk about something, then sure, we can talk. Why the f am I gonna accept a duel? That sounds retarded.
I think that was just his way of saying, "Can we chat about it?" Like maybe I said it politely and in my soft, disgusting tone that you don't like, but he was.
If he wants to chat, yeah, sure, drag him in. I don't know why we would assume that means debate. I don't know why when Donald Trump says we need to fight like hell to take our country back, you would say, well, that doesn't really mean anything. But when another guy says penal code 112, whatever the fuck, challenge you to duel, like, I don't know. If you want to drag him in and he wants to chat, we can. But no, it seems like you're just spamming. You just like shit post people that they want to duel.
I don't think I can bring him in.
What's the guy's name on Twitter or whatever?
Hold on one sec.
We're buffering really bad. This is really weird because I've seen the tweet too. I saw the duel tweet, and it seemed like to me he was challenging him to a legitimate duel. I didn't get the vibe that he meant political debate. Maybe he did mean it, but it sounded like he was challenging him to a legal duel. And that's what was communicated to me. Maybe I'm also delusional, but I didn't get the vibe that he meant let's have a polite conversation or any conversation at all.
I'll let you know. Chase.
Oh yeah, I saw the InfoWars too, so I know that he's like an actual fucking retard as well.
Is everyone a retard? Because
people that are on InfoWars are all retards. Yes. Like if that guy would have been in the audience, like the bullet would have went one in hole and out the other, and there would have been no damage done. That's how stupid anybody that works at InfoWars is. Yes.
Jeez.
Okay. I disagree with that assessment, but
I'm sure you do.
We can. Okay.
Really? You disagree with the InfoWars people being
okay? So you didn't want to talk to him because
or does she just leave, or does she just not agree with the delivery and the mean delivery? I don't know. Probably both.
Wants to chat? Sure, go for it.
He's from InfoWars.
I unblocked him if he wants to chat. I just said he's stupid. I talk to stupid people for a living. That's why. That's how I make my living. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Well, you got to give you props for doing the living with what you're doing. That's
no. It just felt like he was calling for a duel because you don't like reference the penal code when you challenge someone to a normal debate. Like if you're citing the penal code in reference to duel, it sounds like you're saying, hey, I'm from one of the states where it's legal to duel, so let's do it. Let's throw down.
You're pretty successful. So hats off to you for being successful at what you do, I guess. Sorry, did I hear someone chiming in?
Yeah, I just decided to shut up, like holding my hand up too long for a high five.
Go for it, Lauren.
Yeah, Stephen, you tweeted out earlier a Sand tweet in which he said that every day you've got Republicans calling for concentration camps and something.
Let's see. Is there anything else? I don't want to hear more Lauren Southern.
Once all of the Trump stuff came out,
who's next? Who is next? What was the next timestamp? I saw people saying that I needed to check out. I remember it was like 2:23 or something. I remember it was 2:20 something. Which
fucking push
would be fine by me because we're not watching this whole thing. I mean, this thing is gigantic. 5:55? Were we not at 5:55 yet? Let me see 5:55.
I don't trust those guys. Just open with that next time, and then we don't have to waste any time, like, on some
I already
factual
told you
analysis.
I'm a libertarian, so you could have assumed that.
True, that you're retarded because it's basically one and part and parcel the same. Okay.
You don't need to insult people. I don't understand why you need to do that. Okay, let's take a question. Sharika Soul has her hand up. Jeez. Sharika, you can unmute yourself.
Destiny, I just have to say that you are an adult male. And the way that you're talking to some of the women in here, well, Kat specifically, is actually really disheartening to listen to. Also, I am Black, and...
Has he said anything in reference to her gender? I mean, he's been like rude, he's been mean, but not like gender specific. You just listened to him call another person the R slur. Like, he just did it. He just threw it out there. He just called him retard, right? So, like, it's not like gender specific. I think it's more like anti-MAGA than anti-MAGA woman. I hate to say this, but this feels like playing a card that has no business being played. You can just say he's mean, he's toxic, you can say a lot of things, but I don't know how the identity politics just got injected here.
And I'm kind of tired of white liberals denying the violence in the Black community and using Black Lives Matter, and specifically protests, who, by the way, the Black neighborhoods that have the protest, they end up being destroyed and trashed. And it's not you that comes to the neighborhoods and helps clean up those neighborhoods after a protest. So for you to speak on Black Lives Matter protests and say they're not violent or whatever you were trying to say is disrespectful, it's disingenuous, especially to Black women who have to live in those neighborhoods and the Black children.
Thank you as a Black woman for showing up to show that retardation can transcend both gender and race.
I'm not retarded, you're the white man.
I don't know why what do you think I'm speaking out for BLM? This conversation is about BLM. I don't know why don't even who the talking to right now.
Stop cussing.
I can cuss whatever I want. What do you mean I can say whatever the fuck I want? It's freedom of speech.
Because
it's Twitter.
It's disrespectful.
Disrespectful to what? This isn't your Twitter space. You're not here to tell me what I can say or not say.
Black Lives Matter out of your mouth.
You're a white man. BLM. Black people need me. I'm going to be the white savior for BLM. I love BLM. I'm the leader of BLM. I'm the self-appointed leader of BLM. Oh, yes, I love BLM. Oh, yes, Black Panthers. I'm going to join it right now. Oh, BLM.
Keep it real.
I am keeping it real.
Black men are violent towards Black women, and we don't need people like you constantly using us for political talking points.
Very niche, specific issue.
Talking about a race that you don't know nothing about. We don't know you. You're not in our neighborhood.
BLM. Are you lost? Are you lost right now? How did you...
Why is she complaining about the violence of Black men? What does this have to do with anything? You just like Black Lives Matter, and your first response is, well, Black men are... Seems like a niche issue in your head that you're just like throwing at. I don't know. I feel like a lot of times callers, like 30% chance each caller is just projecting in some way, and that's what this feels like right here.
You've been wandering into here. Are you okay right now?
Mental distress, and you need to get on medication and stop talking to women crazy.
Okay.
You only talk like that because you're behind a screen. If you were there and she had a whole bunch of men standing by her, there's no way you would keep talking to her like that.
Well, I mean, I've seen Destiny be pretty rude to people in person. If her implication is if you had a bunch of people around you who would beat you up if you were rude, then you wouldn't be rude. Then I mean, probably, yeah. But there's nobody that's gonna beat him up right now.
You're a punk.
Okay. Thank you, Sharika. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution.
Sharika?
Okay. Noted.
Is that her name, or did he just? You know what? I don't even want to know.
Okay. Let's try to keep it civil, guys. Let's just try to speak with each other, but not talking over each other. It's hard to hear when, she's trying to speak and you're just going BLM, and we can't understand you guys. It's hard to hear. I'm sure you know this. Like, I shouldn't have to explain that, but...
Okay, let's keep going. We're almost done. Somebody else said 220 something. So I'm going to go to 222 and we'll go from there.
Brain for 2 seconds.
Talking about
Diligent. Who is this Diligent?
Because he wasn't the one directly in charge.
He didn't know it.
Diligent. Let's see. Where does he start?
Delay the certification of the fucking vote.
It wouldn't be illegal for Mike Pence to delay the process.
Oh no! This is the worst talk. It wouldn't be illegal for him to do the thing he doesn't have the constitutional authority to do to usurp the election. Oh, you always get eventually to the people who just want to usurp democracy, don't you?
Tried to have false slates of electors that he wanted to be chosen on the election day so that he could be made the president, even though he lost the vote. There was a whole process of doing that, and the culmination of that was on the day of January 6th. He invited. I haven't finished talking. Can you not hear? Do you have a memory issue? If I speak for too many words, do you lose the end of the sentence?
Shit.
Okay. Well, let me finish my sentence. Let me finish. I know that I'm not spinning a narrative. None of these people nobody even denies any of the. Okay.
Tampering with insurrection.
What have I said so far that's incorrect?
The word
what have I said? Shut the. What do you play with the word? You guys play with this shit like every fucking day, dude. The leftist retards. What did I say that was incorrect, sir? What did I say that was incorrect, sir?
Like that, they don't make any
what did I say that was incorrect, sir?
What?
What did I say that was incorrect?
You're conflating tampering with insurrection. These are two extremely different things.
Insurrection doesn't have to happen in 1 day or 1 hour.
Okay. You're conflating two completely different.
What did
things.
I say that was incorrect?
I don't think you're conflating tampering with the word insurrection. Just like you probably don't understand the gravity of the word attempted assassination.
Good one. So the insurrection. Well, it wasn't well done. He missed. Okay. The insurrection. Okay, was from the start to the finish. It was Donald Trump setting up false slates of electors and then bringing tens of.
We've been going for too long. And I don't need to hear every little thing. So the thing I was told to skip to is at 2:22. I forget exactly what, but we're skipping to the end here. We're skipping to the end. I've had enough of this. I've been through the ringer. I'm ready to go to sleep. It's been over 6 hours. I'm getting a little woozy. Let's finish this.
Home after that.
You have to ask them. I mean,
how about we use our brain for like 2 seconds? What do you?
2:26:50. Okay, let's go there. I think we're there.
Acceptable,
Here we are.
according to you, because he delayed his acting on January 6th. Just want to make sure we're 100% clear here.
You know, some people they'll eat like the whole Oreo, and then other times they twist them, and then
wait. You wanted me to hear this joke? If you want me to hear this joke, then I got to hear what she said leading up to it. Okay, 1 second.
Focus on the fact that he was drinking a Diet Coke, which by bullseye.
Let's hear what she had to say.
Advice, you're a speaker, you can unmute, and if you have a question or a comment for Destiny, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I fully understand the argument here is that because Donald J. Trump didn't respond quickly enough to shut down whatever was happening on January 6th, we are making fun of people being shot at his rally because some random lone gunman decided to shoot at him for whatever reason, and therefore that's acceptable, and we're going to completely ignore the fact that within the last 2 weeks, Joe Biden made a comment about putting...
It shouldn't be this legal. It shouldn't be legal to be this New York. It should not be legal. That's too much. She needs to tone it down.
Putting Donald Trump in the bullseye and then having multiple tweets sent out with that. Years of people calling him Hitler and indicating...
Isn't this accent Boston? It's really hard. It's New York or... It feels New York. It feels like very New York, but it could be Jersey. Maybe. Jersey or New York, one of the two. Or somewhere in the middle. But whatever it is, it's too much. It's hard for me to place that accent. Somebody said Boston, but I don't believe that's Boston. That does not sound like Boston to me.
That we need to shut down all of these awful MAGA people at any cost.
Long Island? See, maybe.
We're just ignoring all of that, and we're just going to go ahead and focus on the fact that he was drinking a Diet Coke, which, by the way, I'm glad he was drinking a Diet Coke. At least it wasn't full sugar, okay? A Diet Coke for the win. That's great for your diet. I'm glad he's really worried about his health. But to be clear, we're more worried...
Going with Long Island, New York. That's my final answer. I'm locking it in.
Reads about the fact that he was delayed in acting allegedly for January 6th, and not that for the last year, 2 or more, people have been calling for action against any Republican who agrees with Donald Trump, and that we should put him in the bullseye. That's totally normal and acceptable, according to you, because he delayed his acting on January 6th. Just want to make sure we're 100% clear here.
You know, some people, they'll eat like the whole Oreo, and then other times they twist them and then they like eat the frosting first because everybody has like their own process. I'm curious for you, do you like suck out like the blue parts of the Tide Pods first, or do you eat the whole thing in one bite when you're chowing down on them every night? I've got to know.
You know,
is it the whole Tide Pod, or do you do it part by
things.
part? Do you put out like 10 of them and eat the white part like in all 10 of them and then eat the rest of it? Or what a retarded summary of everything that I said. Yeah, you sound like a extra
really
in My
taking
Cousin
it-
Vinny, okay? Thanks for the input, okay? I'm done. I'm good. I'm out. Okay. All right. Conservatives, we've been too nice, okay?
Is that it?
I know
Did he just tap out? Is he done with the space? Was that it? Was that his exit? Oh my God. So I mean I don't think. I think Destiny wraps his messages in sandpaper on purpose for attention, to feed into the algorithm, to get more people to hear his arguments. I think this is an example of that. I think a lot of his rhetoric here was pointlessly fiery, to the point of just being like divisive for divisive sake. But I think a lot of the points he made about the polite discussing horrible, terrible things in a polite way, not deserving that politeness in response. Deserving a response, of course, but not necessarily that politeness in response. You need to emphasize the importance of the moment. And the reaction to what happened to Donald Trump, the attempted assassination, should not be us trying to say, well, let's just temper it down. Let's just pretend that Donald Trump did not call for suspension of the Constitution.
Is occurred.
Let's pretend that Donald Trump didn't do all these things.
Evans 88 has donated $5. Please listen to his "We've been too nice" comments.
I'm watching this I've almost been streaming for 7 hours. I don't know. If you can give me like a hyperlink or like a link quick, maybe. I agree with the general tenor of of that conversation. I agree that Biden should be more aggressive in his attacks when it comes to just the amount of vulnerabilities that Trump has as a candidate. There's a question of whether Biden will be effective in delivering those attacks, and that's a question of his skill as a candidate that the whole country is kind of, very suspicious of right now. But I agree with the general tenor of the conversation about the importance of these things that also outrage me as somebody who cares about, the American democratic process, and seeing conservatives bend over backwards for somebody calling for the suspension of the Constitution to justify their actions, justify what they've called for, as they're trying to even grab more power with less guardrails, with less people to reel them in, when that was one of the selling points back in 2016. I mean, it does feel like we're kind of headed towards an extremely important political decision in November, with not enough emphasis on exactly what the stakes are. Now, if we acknowledge those stakes, then we can have the question of making sure that our rhetoric is not asking for people to go take violent action. But I don't think it was the fiery rhetoric of Joe Biden that motivated the shooter. Right now, we don't know what exactly motivated the shooter. He's a registered Republican. He was described as conservative by his friends, but he's also donated to a progressive political PAC. Again, politically ambiguous at best. But what we can't do is temper down the warning to voters when it comes to telling them the truth. If it's the truth, it isn't hyperbolic. If we're telling them the truth about what Donald Trump did and informing them coming to November, that isn't harmful for the country. That's informative for voters, and that's important. We can do that while also not calling for violence. And that is the Democrats' responsibility going into November, to emphasize the importance of the decision in November while also making sure to avoid active calls for violence. Dylan, how can you defend Biden's atrocious record on Ukraine? Trump is much better. No. No. I disagree.